Nall versus Clover. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Nall, the defendant was your landlord. According to you, you moved in. You were forced to move out. You want your security deposit back. You want your rent money back. Plus, you want punitive damages for harassment. The defendant says that you were, in fact, a very difficult tenant, that you caused damage to the property. There was a leak emanating from your apartment. You had a dog that was in violation of the lease, and he is countersuing for those damages. Okay. When did you lease this apartment?
I signed the lease in December 1st of 2006.
Who was living in the apartment?
Me and my 3 children.
Were you working at the time?
I was not.
How were you supporting the children?
I had child support coming in, and I was having subsidized housing.
The rent on the apartment without the subsidy was how much?
$650 a month, plus $100 utility escrow.
And how much were you actually paid?
$344 a month.
And the rest was subsidized?
Correct.
When did you move out of the apartment?
July 1st, 2007.
Tell me why.
Michael Clover and myself have had a very tumultuous relationship as far as landlords and tenants go. During my time as renting with Mr. Clover, he's accused me of owing him money several different times. He's came over to my house screaming and swearing at me along with his wife. I've had to have police escorts for him coming into my house.
Did you pay your rent on time every month?
Every month, and I did prove that to him in April when he sent me an invoice.
Can I see that you paid your rent on time every month?
That is up through, I believe, April, possibly later.
I seem to have checks, sir, for all of her rent with your endorsement on the back of those checks.
Correct.
So she doesn't owe you any money?
Yes, she does.
For what?
For rent and also for utilities.
Which rent does she owe you for?
She owes me for July of 2007, and she owes me for utilities.
Just a second. Was she living there in July?
No.
Okay, forget July.
Okay.
She lived there in June. She paid you in June.
Okay.
Good. Let's move on.
I would like to state, within that $344, there was a $25 dog allowance in there. I had told him at the end of December that I was getting my dog back from my ex-husband, and my dog would be moving in there. So right in your paperwork that you have, it shows that I have been paying for my dog also.
I want to see the lease.
The lease does not include a pet.
Rent on the apartment was $650.
Correct.
And you received how much from the state?
$341.
$309.
Okay.
That's what she should have been paying you. $309. She was paying you $344.
She was owing for utilities, Your Honor. The utilities were not divided up to $100 a month until sometime in late 2007. They were getting out of hand because she wouldn't be paying the utilities. The bill was split in half.
No, don't speak.
And
he's talking now. Do you understand?
The lease states that they pay the utilities.
The utilities included into the month's rent.
No, impossible.
In January, I paid $244 because that was my portion of the rent, was $244 plus the $100.
That's impossible. I mean,
plus
it's
the
$100
utility escrow.
No, your portion of the rent is $409
I believe he's
a month.
incorrect in that amount.
Your Honor, might I?
Is what you're telling me in your sworn testimony?
Yes.
That you got $341 for her as a subsidy each month. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any proof of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
My rent due was $208 plus the $100 utility escrow. $650 minus $341 is $208 plus the $100.
I believe there are only about 3 landlords in our whole area that accept the housing authority stuff, and we really go out of our way to try to help these people.
Just a second, sir. You just showed me a check, Mr. Clover, for February in the amount of $431.
Thank you.
You just showed me a check in the amount of $431, not $331.
I apologize.
So,
it's $431.
Oh.
That's what the housing is paying.
Thank you.
Very different, sir.
I'm sorry.
So it's $650 less $431 equals $219. That's her share of the rent.
Correct.
Now, she's been paying $344. She's been paying $100 for the utilities. That would be $319 and $25, you say, for some of those months for the dog.
Correct, and that included
$344. absolutely right. She's absolutely 100% correct based upon what you just gave me.
There was no agreement for a dog to be there, Your
Well,
Honor.
listen to me, Mr. Clover. Then why did you take an extra $25 a month from her?
She was paying erratically all along.
Erratically doesn't mean anything. She's paid up. I have her canceled checks that you cashed, sir. You want to dispossess somebody, you dispossess them. You go and you file a notice of eviction, you evict them. That's what you do. But you don't take their money. Okay, so you moved out. What do you want from him?
I would like the $650 security deposit doubled because he did not return my security deposit back within the 30 days mandated by Wisconsin statute.
Fine. Why doesn't she get it back?
Well, Your Honor, first of all, there was at least 3 times that I had called her to ask her about her rent.
I don't want to hear rent anymore. Listen to me carefully.
Off the rent.
She doesn't owe you a penny
Not
for
a
rent.
problem. Okay.
Doesn't owe you a quarter. You were paid your rent. Now, security deposit is what she wants back. She gave you $650 security deposit. Explain to me why. It's very easy. All you have to do is show me pictures. Show me pictures of the damage that she or her children or her dog caused to the property, and I will dismiss her claim for the security deposit.
Okay.
Very easy. Show me the pictures first.
Here are some pictures of the leak that was caused by her and repairs. This particular picture here shows where the damage was, is in the wall there, and is located right at this point on this type of a pipe. Now, this is a shower saver head, which is mandated in our area for all rental properties. There's a picture here of the shower head that she installed on there. And it might be in those pictures. It's a white head.
I got it.
Okay, so it's a different one.
Just a second. Did you change the shower head?
Yes, but that is
Okay.
not the shower head that was on there when I moved in. That is not the
I don't
type
care
of shower head.
whether it was or whether it wasn't. When did you change the shower head?
Pretty nearly immediately.
Okay. And then there was a leak in your apartment.
I didn't notice a leak, no.
But there was a leak.
Apparently downstairs there was a leak.
Where was it coming from?
The downstairs tenant said it was coming from my bathroom area.
Okay. And did you fix it?
Yes, I did.
And where was it coming from?
Well, it was coming from this pipe that came out of the wall, and this pipe here was broken off in the threaded area. I brought this along to...
Just explain it to me, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Her father came around the corner with a gun on his side, and he was in a hurry running towards me with this gun.
What does this have to do, sir, with lost rent?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Nall says former landlord Michael Clover owes for the return of her security deposit and rent money. Michael is countersuing for damages to Jennifer's apartment and for lost revenue.
Okay. Now, she replaced the shower head. The
They
plumbing
broke it when they did that.
Shh. She replaced the plumbing fixture, which she's not permitted to do.
Right.
And what you're telling me is that was the cause of the leak that went into the lower apartments.
Correct.
Fine, and through the wall.
Yes, I had to cut
Fine.
the wall out, and
Fine.
the pictures show,
I see that you had to cut the wall out.
and the
You
downstairs...
can't do that.
The shower head that was in there had a hole in it, there was a crack on it, and it was not a shower saver.
Show me where you sent him a letter indicating that.
There's nothing saying that I couldn't change the shower head.
If you
he
change
told me
it-
to change
listen to
treat
me.
the place as my
Listen
own.
to me. If you put in a new shower head as a tenant and disconnect what he has, and I assume you did it yourself?
It was just a little shower head
I
from
assume you
Walmart.
did it yourself.
Yes.
And if there's a leak, you're responsible.
But the leak was there prior to my changing the shower head per the conversation of the person underneath in my house.
Okay,
It had been
that's
leaking there for
hearsay.
months.
That's hearsay. What else, Mr. Clover?
Well, I'd like to get paid for the damages to
Just
repair
a
that
second.
leak.
Just a second. Show me the bill.
Okay.
No way. I said I want to see the bill.
Your
not
Honor.
what you typed up.
This is not a bill.
No, that you typed up.
This is a bill typed up.
Who typed it?
I did.
What else, Mr. Clover?
Your Honor, am I allowed to get paid for the work that I do on in my apartment as the maintenance person for myself?
If the question you're posing to me, sir, is are you entitled to offset her security deposit for a leak that she caused, the answer is absolutely you are. And if what you do for a living is manage this building, then you're not entitled to your time. You are entitled to parts. You're entitled to helpers. But if what you do is manage this building and gain revenue from this building, there's no way for me to say to you, listen, You work 40 hours a week. You didn't do this other than your work week.
Your Honor, I charged $250 to cut a hole 6 foot wide by 2 foot wide.
This is what you do for a living, sir? Is this what you do for a living?
But I cut the hole through the drywall.
I got it.
I took the pipes and cut them. I welded them back together and put this stuff, and I'm not allowed to get paid for that time.
You are paid
Thank
for
you,
that.
Your Honor.
Sir, you are paid for that time.
How?
From renting your apartments. That's your maintenance on the apartments.
She caused the leak?
I am certainly, sir, listen to me. I am certainly prepared to compensate you and to deduct from her security deposit any parts that you had to purchase as a result of her negligence. Absolutely. Show me what you spent for parts, and I will absolutely deduct it from her $650. So because of that,
Your Honor,
listen to me. Listen to
excuse me, Your Honor, with all due respect,
you're not
I'd like
paying
to
attention.
ask you.
You think you're going to talk over me, Mr. Clover? That's
No.
not happening.
I would just like to
Mr. Clover, that's not happening.
Okay.
What else, Mr. Clover?
Carpeting damage.
When was the carpet put down in the apartment that she rented?
2 years before she...
I'm not interested in carpeting damage. If it was put down 2 years before she moved in.
In the living room. In the bedroom, the carpet was put down just before she moved in. It was new.
Show me the bill.
Okay.
No. Listen to me. What I asked you for, Mr. Clover, you're not following me, sir. Put the picture down. I want the bill for the bedroom carpet.
Okay, Your Honor, allow me to explain, please. The place has been vacant since the tenant moved out. I got a letter from her asking to get out of her lease, and I told her that we would happily let her out of her lease if she was to provide us with another tenant to take over the responsibilities. Otherwise, we don't just let people out of their leases. Just, you can get out next month.
I assume you're getting to the carpeting, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Get there fast. I have other things to do. Get to the carpet. I asked you for the bill for the carpet that you put in immediately before she moved in.
I don't have that.
Okay. Let me see a picture of the carpet immediately preceding her moving in the bedroom. Bedroom carpeting looks pretty bad. Ms. Knoll.
This is the condition that the stove was left in, Your Honor. I
see.
know that it's going to be hard for me to say that I want $25 to clean the stove out.
Do you have any other pictures you want to send up here?
May I see this?
Yes, this one right
May I see the picture of the stove, please?
Absolutely.
Just quickly. Okay.
here. Yeah.
Okay.
Your Honor, I would like to mention quickly that this is my own personal stove. I had removed his and used mine and then put his back into the apartment. This is my own
me see.
personal stove.
Did you leave these things in your apartment?
The stuff that was there was left there before I moved in. Nothing was left there of mine.
Just a second. He took this picture, and I assume you removed the stove. And when you left, you took this stove.
Correct.
Show me where you took this stove.
I can't prove where I took that stove. That stove is now in another apartment with my ex-husband.
No, I don't believe you.
It is. He
I
has
don't
a
believe you.
brown range
Who
stove.
moved the stove?
I'm sorry?
Who moved
My
the
father.
stove? You moved this filthy stove?
I did.
I don't believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Don't believe it.
And in
Okay.
fact, I can say that when we were moving it, it was heavier than sin because I helped.
Well, let me tell you something. This
That's
stove
my
is
stove.
Just listen to me. If it is, it's an indication that the place was a mess.
No.
Listen to me. If it is, if this is your stove, and this is an indication of the way you kept this apartment, just listen to me very carefully, madam. When I agree with you, I agree with you. When I don't agree with you, I don't agree with you. I told you, you're futzing through your papers. If this is an indication on how you keep your apartment, you kept your apartment messy. That's not a sin to keep your apartment in a messy state. But if this is an indication of a stove that you took with you, and gave it to your ex-husband, and why you would want to give this piece of crap to your ex-husband that you kept like this, I have absolutely no idea. Also, the carpet was clearly stained.
It was stained when I moved in. I asked Mr. Clover several times to provide me proof of the previous tenant's move-out
Show
record.
me the letters that you sent him about the carpeting.
Not about the carpeting.
That's all I asked you. I said, show me a copy of the letter you sent about the carpeting.
I don't have anything for the
Right.
carpeting.
Okay.
I have something for him claiming that I wanted to see why he was charging me, what he was charging me. I also have something
Well,
stating
clearly
that
this was not a
I
marriage
wanna
made in
see-
heaven. Madam, you paid rent and you lived there.
I want to see what
Listen
the
to me.
ex-landlord,
You paid
the
rent.
tenant paid.
You paid rent and you lived there.
And I admit
And
that
you
the
do. And-
boys' bedroom carpet was messy,
And listen to me carefully.
but it was not new when I moved in.
Listen to me. You created a certain problem in the apartment through your own negligence. You are not getting your security back. End of discussion. What's next?
Mr. Clover did turn me into the child welfare. I have a showing here that I did not have. There was unfounded. My house was not messy except for the stove and a coffee pot.
Very good. Not interested. What else?
I want my 12 days rent back from December. I was not able to move in until the middle of December due to the
You
inability
don't
to
get
move
it.
in.
You lived there until July. If you
I
didn't
did
want to
move
move in, don't move in. What
I
else?
couldn't move in due to
What
the
else?
apartment's condition.
What else?
I could not move in due to the apartment's
What
condition.
else? You're not getting it. You lived there December, January, February, March, April, May, June. If you didn't like the circumstances, tell him. Tell him.
I did.
I'm
I asked
leaving.
several times,
Tell
and it
him
was condemned by
I'm-
the health department.
Then you shouldn't have moved in. You should have moved back with your father.
I
What
would have
else?
liked to, but I have 3 children and
What
I need to have
else?
a house.
I'm sure he loves his grandchildren. What else? What else? That's it. You paid $200 a month rent for this apartment. The citizens of the county where you live paid the rest. You're not getting any money back. What else can I do for you? Nothing. Good. Now, listen to me. You've got her $650 security deposit.
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to have to make do with that to fix anything that you want
That's
fixed as a result of her tenancy.
That's fine,
We
Your
understand each other? What else do you want?
I would like $650 a month for lost rent and revenue up and through whatever is allowed by our state, which is $5,000.
Why? For what?
Her father is a police officer, and the day that I came over there to fix the water leak, she came to the door and she was screaming and stuff at me about how mad she was about having to pay a $25 late fee for her rent. Then her father came around the corner with a gun on his side, and he had his hand on his gun, and he was in a hurry running up towards me with this gun. He had a mechanic
Just a
blue
second.
shirt on.
What does this have to do, sir, with lost rent?
Father and her got together and had the city of Altoona go ahead and send me a letter saying that I could not operate that as a rental house anymore because it was in a commercial location.
Sir,
It
sir,
had
listen to
been-
me. Listen to me.
Yes.
If the city where you live does not allow you to rent, it's because they blew the whistle on something that they felt was improper. And you think that they have motives, which were ulterior motives, because she wanted out of her lease. If that's
Right.
what you're telling me, it doesn't make any difference. If you're not allowed to be a multiple dwelling, you're not allowed to be a multiple dwelling. And I don't care whether they had good motives or bad motives.
All right.
For reporting you. Anyway, you have your $650. You, on the other hand, have nothing. You had a place
May
to
I
live.
state?
You lived there. Goodbye. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Hopefully the truth is shown about his personality.
It's a shame that this had to happen in the first place.
And I expected more from somebody who owned a real estate company.
We've never had a renter like this, and I just hope we never have another one.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Armbruster versus Mikrit. Step forward, please.
Teresa Armbruster is suing her son's ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old Jennifer McCrut, for a loan to pay her first month's rent and security deposit.
Miss Armbruster, the defendant is your son's former girlfriend.
Yes.
This would be the son?
This would be the son, Jason.
Evidently, the two of them needed some money to move into an apartment. So, according to your complaint, you loaned them,
Right.
first month's rent and security on an apartment.
Correct.
How much money did you loan to them?
It was a total of $1662.50.
And then your son acted out a little bit because he was ejected from the apartment and the police removed him from the apartment, or at some point a restraining order was issued and he couldn't live in the apartment.
I think it was the weekend of the 7th or the 9th. They had gotten into an argument.
what?
Of September.
When did you move into the apartment?
August 1st, 2006.
So within a month of living there, things didn't turn out well, but they had lived there for a month.
For a month, correct.
There goes your first month's rent, right?
That's correct.
Did your son give you any money for
Yes,
that
he
month?
did.
How much money did he give you?
He gave me his $300, and I told him whatever he couldn't handle, I would cover. because I put the money out for the security deposit, you know, so I would cover that. It was for him to get on
How
his
much
feet.
is the security deposit?
It was $997.50 was the security deposit.
Was the security deposit,
Yes.
which you should get back.
Yes.
Okay. Did the landlord allow you to break the lease?
He said to me, if you move out, I will give you your security deposit back.
Well, you have no problem giving Miss Armbruster back the $992 security deposit, do you?
Well, I just don't feel that I owe it to her because she never said that I had to pay her back when she gave me the
Just
money.
a second. Of course not. Of course not. I understand that if there was a loan, it was not a loan to you.
Yeah.
If she made a loan, it was a loan to both of you.
Yes.
And I guarantee you that I'm not going to see any proof that he paid her back any money. Are you still living in the apartment?
No, I just recently moved out.
How long did you live there?
I lived there up until November 1st.
Did you pay September's rent?
Yes, I did. And I also paid October.
Did you get any money from, what's his name, Jason?
No, I
For
did not, Your
September
Honor.
and October?
No, I did
So
not.
you
Your
paid the
Honor.
rent yourself?
Yes.
And under what circumstances did Jason leave the apartment?
He left. It was September 12th, I believe, 2006, when the restraining order was placed on him. 2 days before that is when I had called the police because he had violently, he choked me and put me on the couch, so I got really scared and I had called the police. And then the next day I came home and he was in my apartment with all of his bags stating that he was going to make the living room his bedroom and then I wouldn't have to see him. And all I really wanted was just for him to get out. And I wasn't leaving simply for the fact that my name is on the lease.
Correct. So you couldn't leave.
Exactly. So
Right.
he refused to leave, so I had went down to the police station, had gotten a restraining order, and they made him leave.
I don't believe that you loaned, in the classic term, either of them anything. I think that you were helping out your son. I think you were annoyed that he was put out of the apartment, because that's what it sounds like in your complaint. You say now that she's living in the apartment on my money. Well, the truth of the matter is she is not, because your son lived there for the first month. She paid the rent for the next 2 months that she lived there by herself. He paid nothing. She was stuck on the lease. There is no way that she was going to move out of the apartment and leave him in the apartment, because then he certainly wasn't going to pay the rent, because he's not working sufficiently to pay the rent, and she's stuck on the lease, so the land for the money. I wouldn't have moved out either. And if the situation became violent and untenable, he had to leave. But I certainly don't think that it's fair for her to keep the security deposit, because it's your money that you gave them with the expectation that they would be living in the apartment for the term of the lease. So I will issue an order to the landlord that any check for security deposit be turned over to you. Is that satisfactory?
Yes.
Perfect. That's all. That will be the order. Put your hand down.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He put his hands on me, and I will not take that from anyone.
So you were 19, you were a baby, you were...
I was 16 when we got together.
And how old are your children?
3 and 16 months.
According to your complaint, things in the relationship went south. You had gone to bartend at a party. Mr. Kiwi came to the party. He didn't like the way you were dressed. He thought you were being flirtatious. You even went so far as to wear makeup. There was an altercation, and you left.
Yes.
Him.
Yes.
Took the children, and you went to your mother's?
Yes.
According to your complaint, he refuses to return your personal property.
Yes.
That's what the case is about. And that personal property, you're talking about your clothing
Yes.
and your children's clothing.
Yes.
What else?
My daughter's TV and DVD player that my mom bought her for Christmas.
Your daughter, who's 3 years old, got a TV and a DVD player?
Yes.
Get over it. Now, Mr. Kiwi, let's deal with this one thing at a time, sir. Do you have her clothing?
No, I allowed her to come over on an agreement. On December 23rd, they agreed to me that I wouldn't call the police on them, that they could come over and.
What happened to her clothing?
She came and got it with her mother and stepfather.
What
and
about
all
the
of her
children's
stuff.
clothing?
She took some of it, but basically almost all of it, and left me with like a couple pairs of clothes that don't even fit them.
Did you go there with your mother?
Yes, I didn't get all of my clothes. I still had some clothes there, and I didn't take all the kids' clothes. There's still clothes in totes in the garage that fit the girls.
Well, just a second. He's their father. Who bought the clothes?
He did. My mom did. His mom did. His sister did.
Well, you can't take all the clothing.
I
You're
don't want all
supposed
the
to have-
clothes.
You took some.
Yes.
Good. So, and some he has.
Yes.
Now, your clothing.
Yes. I have a few pairs of jeans over there, some more shirts over there.
You're talking about nonsense. You're talking about little stuff. What are you suing him for? I mean, I don't get it. You were together 5 years. We're not talking about a couple of pairs of jeans, madam.
No, but they're mine. I should be able to get them.
Well, do you have her jeans?
I found one pair of jeans that was in the dirty clothes, and that's
All right.
the only reason she
so
didn't
pack
take
it up
them.
and get it over to her.
Yeah.
Now, let's get to your mother. I can't stand to deal with nonsense. You say that you loaned him $1,000 to fix his truck.
Yes.
When?
It was September 12th
What year?
of 2006.
Did she give you $1,000 to fix your truck?
No, she found a gentleman who at a bar who works on vehicles, and at first I was going to sell my Explorer to him, parted it out.
Did
but then
she
he
pay
said he could-
$1,000 to have your truck fixed?
Yes, but
Okay. Now, it is your defense to that
yes.
that you had loaned her $3,000 a year before.
Well, I took out a loan for $3,000 because I was $1,000 behind on rent, so I paid $1,000 on rent, and I gave her $2,000 so their house would not be foreclosed on because they've took out like 4 mortgages on their home.
When did you give her the $2,000?
Before the Explorer was fixed.
Do you have any proof of that?
The only thing that I would have had was be like from my bank that say I paid off the loan, but unfortunately I didn't bring that because that's not paid off yet.
Okay. Tell me how it came about that you gave her the $2,000. Tell me about it. I'm a good judge of what's true
Dora
and what's
was
not.
crying, and I felt sorry for him because I thought we were family then, but I can see, I guess we're not. And I was just being nice and helping him out.
No, tell me how she came about. Did she come to you and tell you she needed the money?
No, she spoke to Dora, and Dora was telling me about it.
Look at me. When was it that your mother
was-
fell... Look at me. I didn't finish the question yet. When did your mother fall behind in her mortgage payments?
It was back in 2005, and he did loan her $2,000, but it wasn't from a loan. It was with his 2005 income tax.
I don't care what it was from.
2006.
Your mother said it was 2006.
It was 2006.
So, how much money did you receive from him?
$2,000, and it was paid back in monthly payments of $500 a month, starting with the month of April and ended in the month of August.
Show me.
I gave it to Dora, and they paid their rent with it.
She gave me cash.
This was never brought up about the $2,000. This was prior. We'd borrowed the money from him, and I've only got 1 mortgage on my house. I don't have 4 mortgages.
Whatever, you have 4 mortgages, you have 1 mortgage. He loaned you $2,000. When?
It was in March
March of what year?
2006.
And what month did she fix the truck? September of '06.
Yes.
And how much did you pay him back, according to you?
I paid him $500 a month for 4 months, starting in the month of April. It was originally agreed that we were going to start paying in May, the $500, but they were low on money at the time and stuff, so I started paying the money back in April. I paid him back $500 in April, $500 in May, $500 in June, and $500 in July.
Did she pay you back any of the money?
Not all of it.
How much did she pay you back?
I'm not sure she'd give the money to Dora like she'd say, and then Dora would say that she was paying us, but I didn't see any of the money.
In what month did your mother give you the first payment of $500?
Around the 3rd of April because we didn't have our rent money.
And when did she give you the second payment?
Towards the end of May because we spent it on my daughter's 3rd birthday party.
End of May. And when did she give you the third payment?
Sometime in June, I don't know when, and the last payment, I guess sometime in July. I don't remember the exact date, but she paid us back, and that's why she made the agreement to fix the Explorer for us because we were down on money then.
Tell me how it came about that you paid this $1,000 for him.
My daughter had called me. Scott also has a Ford Escort. It had
Just tell me, your daughter called you and what?
Their Ford Escort was broke down. Scott did not have transportation to go to work. She was upset because she didn't want him to lose his job because the Escort was broke down. I loaned him some money to help for parts on that, and then I said that I would pay for the Explorer to be fixed so that they would have 2 cars that were running, because at that time Dora was trying to find a job so she could make income also. So I loaned him the money. I have a gentleman that I work where I work.
Listen to me. You have no contract with him. If you had any contract at all, it was with your daughter.
You
know, just because they're no longer together, which is what's happened, just because they're no longer together doesn't mean that you come to court and you claim things that really aren't so.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you see your children now?
Every now and then. And when I go over there to see my kids, her mother comes out and stepfather and tries to kick my butt, so I got ex partes against.
Real people. Judge Judy. 21-year-old Dora Speicher and her mother, Brenda Waters, are suing the father of Dora's children, Leonard Owen, to get his car fixed, the return of belongings, and pain and suffering.
Sounds to me as if he wasn't totally a bad guy. A little controlling, perhaps. You know, you're a little controlling, Mr. Kiwi.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like he's a bad guy. He thought you were all family. He gave you $2,000 from his tax returns when you needed it. He didn't even ask to see the return of the money. You say you gave it to your daughter. She did whatever she wanted to do with it. She paid bills, she paid the rent, she did everything. She never showed it to him. And he was the only one working, right? So he was making a family. Just because they're no longer together and things aren't good anymore doesn't mean that you come to court over a pair of jeans that was in the laundry and fixing the truck so that your daughter would have a car and the boyfriend would have a car.
She never got the
now,
car.
do me a favor. Do me a favor. I have other things to do today. You have a counterclaim?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, your counterclaim says that you don't see your children.
Yes.
That's your counterclaim.
Yes.
That's for a different court, sir.
Okay.
Are you in another court about seeing your children?
Yes.
Do you see your children now?
Every now and then, but it's a very big hassle because they will not take my children to the designated spot because it is not in writing. So since it's not in writing, they make me go to their house, and they know I cannot go over there because I have an ex parte. And when I go over there to see my kids, they call the police. Her mother comes out and stepfather and tries to kick my butt. So I got ex partes against them as well, her mother and stepfather.
What arrangement? Uncross your arms. What arrangements have you made for Mr. Kiwi to see his children? Don't look over there.
We have called
over here.
him, and my sister calls him at work because I can't speak to him. Calls him at work, tells him to meet my dad up the road at a store called Clyde's. He always makes an excuse that his car's broke down. He doesn't have gas. He can't get to where it is. So my dad drives to Steve's, a gas station that's closer to him, and drops off the girls.
When was the last time he saw the children?
2 weeks ago. He's supposed to get them this weekend.
And before the last visitation, when was the last time he saw the children?
2 weekends before that.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to deal with the courts about that, Mr. Kiwi. You understand that?
Yes.
I suggest that you get whatever you need in writing, get it in writing. Do you understand?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. This case is going to be resolved this way. I want you to go into the laundry, and I want you to get her pair of jeans that she left there, put it in an envelope, and mail it back to her. Do you understand?
Yes.
Other than that, the case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Why is that excused? You may step out.
He has tons of guns, and he had pulled them and threatened to shoot me before.
I never threatened to kill her with no guns.
If I would do my hair and makeup, I was trying to sleep with everybody.
Well, she had never worn makeup before ever in her life.
Told him I wasn't, but he didn't believe me.
And then she started wearing it to go to an old bar.
And that's employees.
That's correct.
I assume that would be this gentleman.
I actually am not sure.
Would that be you?
No.
Were you there June 24th?
Yes, I am the doorman.
Okay. Mr. Hamilton wasn't there. He really doesn't know what happened, but he denies, based upon, I assume, what this gentleman says, that you were, in fact, injured on that date. He doesn't deny that there was some sort of an altercation, but he says that you were not injured. What time of the evening did this incident occur?
It was around 10:30.
Who were you there with?
I was with two of my friends from college.
Either one of them here?
No, they actually did not witness the incident. They were inside using the restroom.
Why were you outside on line?
I was waiting at the front of the line about to have my ID checked, and they were on their way back when this all went down.
Tell me what happened, Miss Giovanni.
I was about to have my ID checked. The next thing I remember is waking up face down with my face in the concrete. The gentleman who was standing behind me in line, who I now know to be Eric Crisp, he was not a friend of mine ahead of time. He told me that, well, he was very concerned.
That's all you remember?
Right.
You were on line. The next thing you know, you were on the ground, face down.
Yes.
You were the witness?
Yes.
Just stand up, please, sir. Your last name is?
Crisp, C-R-I-S-P.
Mr. Crisp, you were on line, right behind her?
I was in line with her, yes.
Tell me what you observed.
Well, I was actually, I was pretty much next to her. Saw some commotion going on inside the bar. I'm not sure exactly if it was a bartender or not, but from what testimony was given to me, gentleman was picked up. I saw him coming at me.
I just want you
I saw him coming
what
at
you saw.
Okay, I saw two men coming at me, one being picked up. I dodged out of the way. I heard a thud, and I looked back, and I saw Angie on the ground.
You didn't know her before that evening?
No, not at all.
Did you subsequently ascertain who the people were?
I did ask the doorman
That
who
would
that
be
was.
this gentleman.
I'm not exactly sure if that was him or not. I know
Stand
he
up,
was.
sir. Your last name is?
Garcia.
Mr. Garcia, who were the people involved in the altercation on the 24th of June?
There was a bartender.
Bartender's name was?
Carlson.
And what did you see Mr. Carlson do?
He was escorting a customer out of the bar that was
How was he
stealing.
escorting him out?
He had him by the arms and was forcing him out because he had stole a bottle, throwing him out.
So he was throwing him out?
Yes.
And what did you observe?
I heard the
Look at
commotion.
me.
I had heard the commotion, and I turned around and let the rope down to allow him to be thrown out. And he, in turn, bumped into the plaintiff, and she
As he
fell
was
back.
throwing out this patron.
Yes. And she fell back into the line, never fell onto the ground.
Where did you see her, Mr. Crisp?
On the ground.
I was standing in front of her, so she would have fallen into me because it's a real tight quarters. It's very tight quarters. And then there was a long line maybe of 50, 60 people.
Mr. Garcia?
Yes.
Did you ever meet Mr. Crisp before?
No, ma'am.
Has he ever been to the bar before?
Not that I know of.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Crisp?
I work as a senior finance analyst for a law firm.
How long have you worked for the law firm?
Approximately a year.
Graduate from college?
I did.
Professional school?
Yes, Cal State Fullerton.
Mr. Garcia?
Yes.
You think of any reason why Mr. Crisp, who is unknown to the plaintiff, would not only testify falsely, sir, but take time to come to court to testify on her behalf, that he turned around and saw her on the ground, Mr. Garcia? I can understand why you might say she never fell on the ground.
Why?
Why?
Yeah,
because
why?
he's your employee, Mr. Hamilton. That's why.
I asked him
I've
to
been there
tell
for
me
8 years. I've never
honest
had a
we
problem.
have insurance for...
Mr. Hamilton,
Yes.
then I will ask you the question, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Crisp, let me
Well,
back
he's a
up.
lawyer. Maybe
Let me
he's trying
back
to
up.
drum up business.
Let me back up a second. Well, that's the most
I can
ridiculous thing. If you're
explain.
going to be a wise guy, Mr. Hamilton, I'm going to fight for the plaintiff and throw you out. So don't be a wise guy. Now, it's my job, and I've been doing it for a very long time, to test the veracity of people's statements, whether or not they are telling me the truth. And there's no question that Mr. Crisp is telling me the truth as far as these facts, that prior to June 24th, 2006, he was unknown to the plaintiff, and she unknown to him. Has she retained your law firm to sue anyone?
Not at all. We're not personal injury.
He has no particular... Put your hand down, unless you want to modify your statement.
Yes, I do.
Fine. Then modify your statement, Mr. Garcia.
When she fell back into the crowd, the people that frequent the bar, young, 21, 22 years old, were saying, oh, sue the bar, sue the bar. Everybody thinks that that's funny. Oh, sue the bar.
And
that's what everybody was saying, and I had to calm them down.
I'm not talking about that, Mr. Garcia. I'm talking about her being on the ground.
Okay. She wasn't on the ground, but
Oh, I think she was. I absolutely think she was.
there would be no way for her to fall onto the ground because everyone was so close.
I can't think of a reason why Mr. Crisp would lie to me. I can't think of a reason.
I've been there 8 years. I run a very, very tight ship.
Well, then you...
I'm very infamous
Then
for
you,
being-
Mr. Garcia,
for
have
being
an
abrupt with
absolute
people.
reason to tell me that you didn't see her on the ground.
I saw her fall back, but not
Fine.
face down on the ground.
You saw her fall back.
Into a crowd of
I'm
people.
speaking, and she fell back as a result of being pushed, not intentionally, I assume, but pushed by the actions of Mr. Hamilton's employee in ejecting a patron.
Yes.
Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, that would.
May I see the medical records you have, please?
Would it be Mr. Hamilton's employees or Malarkey's Irish Pub's employees?
It doesn't make any difference, sir.
Does it?
No.
I mean, she's suing me personally. I am an officer of the corporation. It's owned by a corporation.
I actually put both on
Just
the
a second.
original case.
Did you accept service? Did you accept service, Mr. Hamilton?
I was never personally served. Something was mailed to me.
And
Is
you're
that
here.
accepting?
And you're here.
Yes, I am here.
And you did not have an attorney put in an answer to the court indicating that the court had no jurisdiction because the corporation wasn't served.
Well, she probably just would have refiled it again, so why not get it over
Then
with?
why raise it now?
Actually said
Then why raise it now?
Because
Good.
as additional complaint is Malarkey's, I just want to make sure that Bill Hamilton isn't responsible, because I am not Malarkey's, I'm an individual.
You are here, sir, neither you nor an attorney on behalf of a company in which I assume you are the primary shareholder?
No, that's not correct.
Who is?
My father,
How old is he?
83.
When was the last time he was in the business?
He retired about 8 years ago.
Good. I wonder how on the 24th of June, Mr. Garcia, and I'm not talking about her complaint of a head contusion, but that the examining emergency room doctor found that she had facial abrasions.
I invited her into the bar after it happened.
Yes.
To buy her a drink, and she walked in and came back out a few minutes later.
Yes.
She could have gone to another bar.
Mr.
How would I
Garcia
know that?
invited me in to offer me free drinks for the night, I believe is a way to buy me off.
No, it's not a way to buy you off.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
was the patron we escorted out that hit Angie.
Mr. Hamilton, that's like saying that it was the bullet that hit the victim, not the gun that caused the bullet to hit the victim.
And later today.
And how old was he when they started to live together?
Probably 19.
And she was?
17.
Don't do anything so stupid again, will you please?
Oh, God, I know.
Angelina Giovannini says bar manager Bill Hamilton should pay for her medical bills. Angelina says one of Bill's employees knocked her to the ground during a scuffle with a patron.
Yes, sir.
I was the one that actually recommended that Angie's friends take her to the emergency room because of the thud that I heard on the ground resulting from that.
And the fact that
it was not a simple push. It was more of a tackle, get a guy out of a bar very inappropriately in my eyes. I couldn't believe it myself.
There was a 2.2 by 2 centimeter contusion on the front of her forehead, Mr. Hamilton, according to the emergency room doctor, is relayed in the diagram from the emergency room.
That was never submitted to me.
Well, I'm going to show it to you, sir.
No, I'll believe you. All I'm saying is that was never submitted to me.
Well, but I'm showing this to you. Don't you want to see it?
Not really. If you say it's there, it's there.
Hospital room technicians finds a hematoma to the forehead. Hematoma noted on the upper right forehead. What happened to the bartender?
He went inside and continued working.
Is he still there?
Yes.
Why isn't he here today? He's a witness under your control, Mr. Hamilton. Why isn't he here today?
Because Richard, I asked him to come.
Why didn't you have both of them come?
I'm
not speaking to you.
I thought one person would be adequate.
Well, but you brought then the person who, A, was not directly involved with the confrontation, and B, whose responsibility it was at the door to maintain order. Isn't that your job, sir?
That is correct.
How many people on the line?
Maybe 50 to 60.
And there was a commotion inside the bar.
Yes.
Is that correct? So your primary responsibility is to maintain order.
Yes.
Right. So I would have, Mr. Hamilton, have thought that you would have brought the person whose primary focus was what was going on at that very moment in ejecting someone and who had direct physical contact with the plaintiff. Not somebody whose direction was 50 or 60 people standing on the line, a commotion inside the bar, and then something that happened outside of the bar. Just interesting to me.
Now, Richard works at the door. The door is a very small area. There may be 50 people in line, but he's not walking down the line normally. From my understanding, it was the patron we escorted out that hit Angie.
In the process of escorting him.
Well, you know, that's like saying,
well, I'm not saying
Mr. Hamilton, that's like saying that it was the bullet that hit the victim, not the gun that caused the bullet to hit the victim. This, you know, your bartender was ejecting, according to your witness, was ejecting by holding on to both arms, throwing someone out of the bar for
but I would
stealing.
assume Richard would have had a better look at what happened.
Yeah, I wouldn't have assumed anything. I would have brought them both. Okay, you have medical bills?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. Did you have insurance?
At the time, my insurance was a little complicated. I was starting a new job, so...
Did your insurance cover this?
The insurance covered a small portion of it. I have the credit card statement for what I covered.
Well, you can tell me. How much did you cover?
$1,364.17. And since it went on my credit card, I also have copies of all the finance charges. Included in that is a collections notice that I received because Mr. Hamilton had accepted responsibility for the incident and explained to me that because of renovations he had just done to his bar, that he would be sending it to his insurance and taking care of it. At that time, I faxed all of this information to him, including the bills, and was under the impression that was in January.
January of 2007?
Yes, when I finally got a hold of him. It took a while to get through the bar to actually get his cell phone number.
Did you receive the faxed information from her, sir?
January. Well, I received a letter from her January 9th.
Did you receive the faxed information, her bills, etc.?
Yes, I did.
What did you do with them?
I have a file where I put them in.
You didn't send them to your insurance company?
No, I didn't.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. You didn't handle this well, Mr. Hamilton. Goodbye. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
When I got the medical bills, was the first time I tried to contact him.
I was surprised it took her 6 months.
Everyone at the bar wouldn't let me through to him, basically.
When she sent the letter, I wasn't available.
Until I finally got his cell phone number and was able to badger him enough to get him to talk to me.
I'm tired of getting taken advantage of every time somebody stubs a toe.
I originally only asked for compensation for my medical bills.
They want to sue a big company or a little company or sue somebody.
The rest is for his negligence.
All parties in the matter of Smith-Doucette versus Candido, step forward, please.
Catherine Smith-Doucette is suing her son's ex-girlfriend, 19-year-old Kristen Candido, for crashing an uninsured car that was in her name. Kristen says it's Catherine's fault that the car wasn't insured.
Mr. Sett, this young lady used to be your son's girlfriend. I assume this is the son.
Yeah, that's it.
They are no longer a couple. But while they were a couple and while she was 17, she wanted a car. Was she living with you at the time?
She was living with my son.
Where's her family?
In Whitman, I think.
They live in Whitman, like a couple towns over.
And how old is your son?
21.
And they started to live together?
Probably 19.
And she was?
17. 17.
Okay. In any event, you decided to help her out and get her a car so that she could continue to work. I don't know, were you going to school as well?
Yeah, I was working full time and going to school at night as well.
Good. And there was an agreement that she would make the insurance payments on the car, which she did faithfully, at least the payments on the car. They broke up, you wanted the car back, but then you said, let her keep it. She was, in fact, making the payments. To make a long story short, because that's what I'm good at, she had an accident with the car. She hit another car. The accident was her fault. Is that right?
Yes.
And the insurance company notified you that there was no insurance on the car. The insurance had lapsed a month before, according to you. And since you are the car owner, couldn't be in her name, she was only 17, you are responsible for the damage to the other car, the car that she hit, and also the car that you subsequently repossessed, her car. So you want that money from her. Ms. Candido's defense is that you should have had insurance. That's your defense.
Right. Well, there was insurance, but it got canceled, and I had no idea because I wasn't living there anymore, and it all went to her house.
When did you turn 18?
April.
April of 2007.
2006.
And when was the accident?
September 11th. 2006.
That's a very long time ago. What's
because I had talked to Kristen. She was at my ex-husband's house, and Shauna had seen her. So Shauna came up and got me because we lived next door to each other. And we went down there so I could get a hold of her because I didn't have her phone number. And she had told me then that she was making payments to the insurance company for the claim.
Can
She said she had made a payment plan.
I mean, this happened September of 06. Did you subsequently get a letter that it was in collections?
In February of 07.
Nice. How many insurance payments did you make, Ms. Candido?
I made all of them until me and him broke up, and she wanted the car back, so I...
Just a second. You made all of them until the two of you broke up. And when did you break up?
We broke up the end of July of 2006.
And when did you give her back the car?
September.
Actually, had
Shh. Did you give her back the car before or after the accident?
After.
Oh. But you made all the payments on the insurance from the time you got the car.
Right.
Why did you let the payments lapse?
Because she wanted the car back, so I said, well, if we're going to set up a date to drop the car off, I'm not going to pay for a car that I'm not going to be in possession in the month of September.
But you were in possession of the car. Listen to me. You were in possession of the car, right?
Right.
Because you couldn't have had an accident with the car if you weren't in possession of it.
Right.
Right? So while you were in possession of the car, you had to insure it. Do you understand?
Yes.
But you didn't. If you don't have insurance and you're driving a car without insurance, you got to take care of the damage that you caused.
I had talked to her in August and said, all right, well, let's set up a date to drop off the car. And if I'm only going to have the car for half the month of September, then I'm not going to pay the full amount.
Fine, then you could have paid the insurance for the month of September and then said to her, I want half of the insurance back for September. You can't drive the car without insurance.
I did not know it didn't have insurance.
Well, you have to know it was your vehicle.
My name's not on any of the vehicle stuff.
You were paying the insurance for all the time you had the car. If you were paying the insurance for all the time you had the car, you knew when the insurance payments were due. You had to pay them every month, every 2 months. How often did you pay the insurance?
Every month.
Then you pay the insurance every month while you're driving the car. Don't you understand that?
Yes.
All right, good. So you have to pay the $3,179.28. Is that right?
Yeah, that's for the other woman's car, but then I also had to have my car fixed.
Let me see it. Don't do anything so stupid again, will you please?
Oh, God, I know.
You know, I mean...
I know. I actually had to have the police get the car back from her. She didn't voluntarily give it to me.
Candido, did you fib to me?
No.
Police seem to think so. When you're young and you take on the responsibility of having a car, you got to take care of it. So you have an accident, you have to take care of it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000. $79. That's all. Thank you.
How is that excuse you may step out?
Well, just so happens that she thinks I'm at fault, so I guess I have to pay.
She lied to me, said she was making payment plans to the insurance company.
I was pulling out and I hit a lady, and the accident was my fault.
And then I got letters saying that was not true.
Just that she wanted the car back. Me and him weren't together anymore.
No, that's not true. When I found out there was an insurance, and like I said, I had to have the police go talk to her personally to get it.
Just never get involved with anyone's mother again.
I'm not.
22-year-old daycare provider Melanie Bartlett is suing former client Thomas Jones for unpaid daycare fees and late charges. Thomas says Melanie left his son in the care of a certified schizophrenic.
Miss Bartlett, you run a daycare service, is that right?
Yes, I do.
And Mr. Jones had one child,
Yes.
a little boy,
Yes, ma'am.
enrolled in your daycare. Is your claim that he took the child out of daycare without giving you notice, that he owes you for a certain period of time that the child was there when he didn't pay, and he also owes you for a whole bunch of late fees because he took the child out without notice? Mr. Jones says that he owes you some money for the daycare.
That's correct, Your Honor.
It is his claim that he had good cause to remove his son from your daycare because you were not properly caring for him.
That is not true, Your Honor.
So let's resolve what we can resolve, and then we'll get on to what's in dispute. How much money, Mr. Jones, do you owe her for the time your son, who was how old at the time?
14 and a half, 15 months, Your Honor.
How much do you owe Miss Bartlett for the time she did, in fact, care for him?
Approximately 2 weeks, Your Honor.
Okay.
That's
And
untrue. He paid me the first week, and then after that, I had no other payment from him.
Well, I'm trying to recall. First weeks were paid in full. The second week, I received partial payment. That's what you said.
$45.
Well,
Yes.
but you have to add that.
Yes.
So we paid you partially.
Yes.
For the second week. So each week was how much? Ms. Bartlett?
$160. And the late fees are $10.
Just a second. $435 is what you owe her for the time your son was there and you didn't pay.
That's correct, ma'am.
Now let's get to termination fee and all of that stuff. Miss Bartlett, how many children do you take care of?
I just started my daycare, so I was in the process of getting my license, and he was my first customer.
Were you licensed at the time?
No. I made him aware of that. I have the paperwork that I was in the process of getting the license, and
That's
I made him
untrue, Your
aware
Honor.
of that when he enrolled his son.
At the time you took care of him, you were not a licensed daycare provider. Is
No.
that what you're telling me?
I was in the process of getting the license. It was just paperwork.
At the time you
No.
took care of his son, you were not a licensed daycare provider.
No.
Did you know that?
No, ma'am.
How did you locate her?
Through the internet.
Do you have a copy of the ad?
Unfortunately, I do not, Your Honor.
I do.
Let me see it, please. Oh, well, this is deceptive, Miss Bartlett. Melanie Bartlett, that's you. License number upon request.
The only choice was to put in a license number or to say upon request. And I was
No,
in
the
process.
choice is I don't have one. That's your choice. When I say it's deceptive, it says upon request. Upon request means I have one and I'll give it to you if you ask me for it. So that's deceptive. Now let me see the contract that he signed. In the contract, do you say that you are not licensed?
I didn't mention anything about being licensed or not licensed in the contract, no.
Well, then that's deceptive, Miss Bartlett. That's one thing. Got to ask questions.
Yes.
Better questions when you're turning over the most precious commodity that you have to somebody that you don't know. Your license, check to make sure it's a valid license with the state. You know how to do that now?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right. The most egregious thing, if it's true, is he removed the child from your care during the second week in October. Is that right?
Approximately that, yes, ma'am.
And on October 7th, according to you, something happened. Want to tell me what happened?
I was informed by Melanie that she was going to a funeral. She asked if she could take my son to this funeral. She told me her mother would be going to watch my son.
That is untrue.
I don't want to hear.
I agreed to this, and I later found out that my son was left in the care of someone who was not qualified, alone in a car with him for, I don't know how long, maybe 20, 30 minutes. And this individual happens to be a state-diagnosed schizophrenic, and,
That's what you wrote.
And I'm very fortunate that nothing happened to my son, that this wasn't a point where, something went wrong.
And after that, you took him out.
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
He knew the day before my ex-boyfriend was doing work with him, and he informed him of the funeral that I would be attending. He brought it up as soon as he came to pick up his child that day, and I told him I had a friend who could watch his son, and I told him it was the friend he was referring to, who happens to be schizophrenic.
That's not true.
Listen to me.
There was nothing wrong.
Listen to me. You have to skip a funeral. You have a job.
I know.
Listen to me. Did you leave this child in a car?
Yes.
Wrong. You don't do that.
I left him in there with my friend. The air conditioning was on, and it was
Listen to me. That's not your job. You have one job when you take care of a 14-month-old baby.
He
and it's
didn't
not
say
to go.
anything that
I'm
he didn't want
speaking
him
to
to
you.
go.
And it's not to go to a funeral. And it's not to leave a baby in a car. And it's not to leave a baby in a car with someone who was on disability for a psychiatric illness. Because according to what you said in your statement, because you anticipated what he was going to say, I was attending a funeral for my ex-boyfriend's family member. I left Jacob asleep in the car for a total of 10 minutes with a good friend. He is a schizophrenic, but he's been on his medication. Did they give you a license?
Yes.
That's a big mistake.
I would trust him with my own 9-month-old daughter. and
That's
he's watched
your
her on several
prerogative.
occasions.
Listen to me. That is your prerogative. You can trust him with your 9-month-old if you wish. You cannot trust him with somebody else's 9-year-old. Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
So you don't get termination fees or late fees or any other fees.
He knew the day before that...
Listen, I don't care what he knew. There is no way that you're going to tell me that you told him that you were going to leave his son in a car with a diagnosed schizophrenic but who's taking his medication. I don't believe that you told him all of that.
My mother was there when I told him that.
I wouldn't believe you if you told me or your mother told me that. What I am going to give you is the money that he owes you for the time that he used your services.
It's written in the contract about the late fees. He gave me no notice. I had no
I wouldn't
indication.
give you a second notice.
I had no idea he was not going to bring his son back to me.
Listen
We
to me.
moved-
I don't care whether you knew or not. You're not getting it. Maybe your mother can explain it to you. Maybe the state where you live will listen. Because after what I said to you, if you still think that it was appropriate to leave a child in the care of a diagnosed schizophrenic who receives disability, that speaks to your judgment in caring for infants ages 0 to 2, which is what you wouldn't let you take care of a guppy age 0 to 2. Judgment for the
take care of
plaintiff
my
in the amount
daughter
of $435, and you're lucky you're getting it. That's all.
Maggie O'Miller claims Teresa Chaidez is in possession of a ring belonging to her. Teresa is countersuing, claiming Maggie embarrassed her at her place of business.
Miss O'Miller, it is your claim that the defendants are in possession of a ring that is yours.
That's right, Your Honor.
And it is a ring that left your possession at some point. You don't know how, you don't know when, but you saw Miss Chaidez wearing the ring in a store. She was employed in the store. You looked at the ring, and since you say it was a unique ring made for you, you were sure that it was yours. You told her it was yours. You went and got the police. They came back. She said her boyfriend or fiancé had given her the ring several years before. This is the fiancé, Mr. Tapia, who says that he purchased the ring, that he paid $1,000 for it, and you want your ring back or money.
I want the ring.
When did you have the ring made?
In 1991.
By whom?
By Creations in Gold up in Seattle, Washington, and this is the jeweler and her husband that made my ring.
Well, who made the ring? This lady or her husband?
Her husband, and he's since deceased.
All right. Did you work with him?
Yes, we had a store together.
Were you the designer or was he the designer?
I was the designer mostly. He did the fabrication.
Stand up. Did you personally do it or did your husband do it?
We both did.
And you remember this particular ring 15 years later?
Yes, I do.
Where did you get the model from for the ring?
It was our design. My husband made
Can I see the ring, please?
Ring for me first.
What do you mean he made it for you first?
A ring like it.
Just a second. He made a ring for you like this first?
Yes.
And then he made another one for Miss O'Miller?
Yes.
Was she a friend of yours?
We met in a restaurant, and she approached me and said, "May I look at your ring?" And I said, "Yes." And then she asked, I said, "My husband and I have the store." And then she came to the store.
Where's the one that your husband made for you?
Right here.
Let me see it.
Yes.
Do you want another one that he made? These were made together at the same time.
I just want to see the one that he made for her.
Okay.
Well, these are practically identical.
Yes.
Except the gold is different. Yours is heavier. One that she says is hers is lighter. Practically identical. And your husband, did he surprise you with this? Is my question. Did your husband surprise you with this
he did.
ring?
Yes, he did.
So that you are not telling me the truth. What's your last name?
Grenzner.
You are not telling me the truth when you say that you designed it with him. Because these rings are practically identical. And if what you're telling me is that your husband surprised you,
surprised me.
Listen to me, surprised you with your ring, that means that you didn't design it. That means he designed it.
We designed it, but he surprised me, and I got the ring for Christmas. Yes, he surprised me with the ring, but not with the design. That is the truth.
Madam, that's a lot of double talk.
No.
If your husband surprised you with the ring, that means that he designed it and gave it to you as a surprise. A husband doesn't say, "I want to surprise you with a ring. Let's sit down and you design it, and then it's going to be a surprise." Husband says, "I'm going to surprise my wife for Christmas and give her a ring," which he designed. And then when she came in and wanted a ring similar to yours, two of you may have gotten together and say, "Well, we can make a ring very similar to mine." It's not exactly the same because this is more weight. This is less weight than yours. You understand that. But you did not design it. Sit down.
Can I show you one that he designed to go with that ring?
No, it's not necessary.
Okay.
Not necessary. There's nothing unique about this ring. You've been around jewelry as long as I've been around jewelry. This is, may not be exactly the same, but it's not unique. Now, when was the last time, Miss O'Miller, when was it that you actually saw your ring that either is this ring or is similar to this ring?
Approximately about 3 years ago.
Where did you see it 3 years ago?
In my home.
When did you first miss your ring?
Probably about a week after I'd moved.
Which was when?
3 years ago.
Do you have a police report?
I never made a police report because I didn't know at the time it was lost or stolen. I just thought I'd misplaced it, so I didn't call.
Well, maybe you lost it. Is that possible?
Possible.
Did you have a moving company move you?
It was a small moving company that had moved.
So the answer is that you had a moving company move you.
Right.
So 3 years ago you did not make a report of any stolen property.
Correct.
So you did nothing.
Nope.
Now, where did you buy this ring, Mr. Tapia?
In Indio, California.
Where?
At a pawn shop.
Had you ever been to that pawn shop before?
No, it was my first time there.
Do you remember who you dealt with there?
No, I just remember taking my grandmother with me, and it was $1,000, so I asked her to loan me $500 of it.
You gave him $500?
Yes, I loaned him $500.
Did he ever pay you back?
Yes, he paid me $100 a month for 5 months.
Okay. So?
So I believe that's my ring. I could tell by the flat back. That was one of his trademarks. It's like the one I have now.
Miss O'Miller, this is a legal issue. If I believe Mr. Tapia that he purchased this ring at a store for $1,000, he becomes what we call in the law a purchaser in due course for value, which means this ring is probably worth no more than $1,000. It has very tiny stones. It doesn't have the, I don't know how much you paid for it.
$3,000.
Well, you overpaid. You can give this back to her. Let us say you lost the ring. Let us say somebody else found the ring and brought it to the pawn shop. In commerce, there's a rationale behind this rule. In commerce, unless you're dealing with a car or a boat or a house, which has to be in writing, if you purchase something and if you purchase it for value, you get the title to it. Now, if Mr. Tapia bought this ring on the street for $50, then he is not a purchaser in due course for value. Then he is on notice that this may be a stolen ring, because nobody sells a ring that's worth $1,000 for $50 unless it's stolen goods. But I believe him, and I believe his grandmother, that they paid $1,000 for this ring. That doesn't mean you get it back.
First of all, his name was not Topia when I was going through all this. His name was Estrada. Then I got a phone call from a man claiming to be a lawyer representing Mr. Estrada. The man that subpoenaed these people with their warrants talked to the lawyer that he's...
Just what kind of warrants? What are you talking about warrants?
Well, you know, when you go and form... How do I say it?
You went to her place of business where she works as a salesperson. You saw the ring. You said, let me see the ring. She showed you the ring. You said, where did you get it? She said, my boyfriend gave it to me. It's an engagement ring. You said, I have a ring like that. I think it's mine. She said, no, it's mine. You left. You went to the police. You brought the police back to her place of employment because that's her counterclaim, that you embarrassed her. Okay, so now we're at a point where you brought the police back to her place of employment and you said, that's my ring, and it must have been stolen. Is that what you said?
No.
What did you say?
I went home, called the police, and said I saw my ring on her finger at Mathis Brothers.
Okay.
The police lady said, he'll meet you in 15 minutes over at Mathis Brothers.
So then you went to Mathis Brothers, and she was there, and she said, it's my ring.
Can I say something? The officer did say it was stolen, that she said it was stolen. But in front of me, she said it was lost.
So far, I haven't heard any libel, slander, or defamation. She didn't accuse you of stealing it.
Well, when she brought the cops...
You were embarrassed.
I was embarrassed.
You were embarrassed, but that, you know, that's unfortunate. But she's entitled to do that. She said, this is my property. I want it back. Okay, so...
Then I talked to him, and he said, well, for $1,000. He said, it's probably your ring, and for $1,000 you could have it back. And I said, why should I buy something back that's mine, that I feel is mine?
Is that what you said to her?
No, I said that I bought the ring for $1,000, and if she wanted it, she'd have to pay me $1,000, which what I paid.
Is that what he said to you? Well, that's different from what you just told me, Miss O'Miller.
What did I just say that's so different?
You can have it back for $1,000. That's different from saying I paid $1,000 for it, and if you say it's yours, I'm willing to give it back to you, but you have to pay me what I paid for it. That's different. One has a positive connotation, and one has a negative connotation.
I can see how you said it just then, yes, I can.
No, see how you said it.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
I'd like to know why all of a sudden his name became Mr. Topeka.
I don't know. I have a very long name myself. Judith, Blum, Levy, Scheindlin. My name is very, very long. That has nothing to do with the fact that you lost your ring 3 years ago, and you can't have it back. This may be your ring. It may not be your ring. Why in the world would I ascribe to these people any kind of criminal behavior 3 years away? Now, if you told me that he was one of the people who moved your property from one place to another, I would say, aha, a light would go off in my head. Did you work for the moving company that moved her?
Never have in my life.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Well, you can't go around, you know, accusing people of having property, stolen property, and believing that it's stolen. Return this, please. Miss Shades?
Shades, yes.
Yes, it's yours. Miss O'Miller, sad that you lost your ring. I would have felt much better about it if you had reported it to the police stolen. You did nothing. And who knows what happened to it in 3 years? It may have fallen in a truck, and 2 months later somebody found it in the truck and said, I don't even know where this came from. Said, I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to sell it to a pawn shop and see what they give me for it. He sees it, he goes with his grandmother, he says, I only have $500, can you lend me the other $500? I believe his grandmother when she said that he paid her back. You don't get your ring back, Miss O'Miller. She also doesn't have to pay you for embarrassing you in the store. She didn't accuse you of stealing it.
Well, when the officer came, he said that, you know, it was stolen. And, I mean, I felt embarrassed when he comes into my job and, you know,
you don't
she made me lose time off of work. And she also had my address with, I don't know how she got my new address. I just moved into a new house. I feel like she's stalking me.
She's not stalking you anymore.
She has.
She's not stalking you anymore. She is entitled to sue you. Listen to me carefully. She's entitled to sue you. She had a good faith basis to believe that this was her property. And quite frankly, unless you could establish to my satisfaction, which you have, that you were a holder in due course for value, which means you paid value for this ring, I might have returned it to her if I believed it was hers to begin with. But I believe that you purchased it, and I believe you purchased it in good faith with your grandmother. I believe you paid value for it, and therefore the title is clear, is in your name. Do we all understand that? Good. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Holly Corbella says former high school classmate Summerlin Gray vandalized her car. Summerlin says Holly tried to run her over after a confrontation with her boyfriend.
See,
Ms. Corbella, according to what I've put together from your complaint, you knew the defendant from high school. You weren't friends, but you knew her from high school. And it is your claim that she vandalized your car. She vandalized your car by kicking it with you in it. Correct. This was after some sort of an altercation at a place where she works. The defendant says that if she touched your car or came into contact with your car, it was because you were trying to run her over. And if there was any damage to your car, it was as a result of that. So, how long ago did you graduate from high school?
2004.
And you?
2004, ma'am.
And you weren't friends?
No.
Were you enemies?
Not really. We just didn't really talk.
Didn't care for each other, so you weren't friends, you weren't enemies, you just knew each other?
Yes.
When did this incident happen with your car?
November 10th, 2005.
Where?
In Crinkles, which is her parents' store.
Crinkles?
Yeah.
What kind of a store is it?
It's like a type 7-Eleven type store.
Okay, so tell me what happened on November 10th.
Me and my boyfriend, we went to the store, I believe, to get cigarettes.
To the store that her parents owned?
Yeah, which I didn't even know that her parents owned the store. So we went in. I went in with him to buy the cigarettes. I knew the guy at the cash register, so I was talking to him.
Who was that?
I believe his name was Dan. I knew him from like high school. Like I hadn't seen him in years. And then I just told him that I was going to go sit in the car because there was a line to listen to music. So I went in the car. And he was in the store and she came over.
Stand up, sir.
Yes.
Your last name is?
Lord, L-O-R-D.
Okay, so you were standing on line?
Yes.
She went back to sit in the car?
Yes.
What happened in the store?
I was standing in line, and she had came up to the register talking to the guy that she had said hello to, Dan, I believe. When she started talking, she started saying a lot of things about her. I don't want her in my store, like very bad verbal things, and she didn't know I was with her.
What kind?
Can I say it on TV? Just, I don't want that in my store, or this and that. I don't, she shouldn't be here. If she ever comes in again, I'm going to kick her. Stuff like that. And she didn't know I was with her, and I was in the back of the line. And then eventually I was like, do you speak to all your customers like that? And then she basically, started yelling at me, and we got into an argument.
Well, what did she say to you?
She was just like, who are you? And I said, well, I'm Holly Corbella's boyfriend. And she's like, yeah, well, she's like, you can get out of my store too. I said, oh, this is your store? And she's like, yeah, it's my store. I said, you own this store, and this is how you respect your customers, by yelling like that.
Okay, so you had a verbal altercation with this young lady.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Basically, it kept going on, and then the guy at the register tried calming her down, calming me down, because we were both arguing, and it started to come outside. She came out to me outside, right in the front.
Did you leave?
Yes, I left.
Did you pay for your cigarettes?
Yes.
Paid for your cigarettes and you walked out?
Yes.
Okay. Now, he's paid for his cigarettes. Is that right, Miss Gray?
No, ma'am.
He didn't pay?
No, ma'am. He
Really?
didn't purchase anything that night, ma'am, and if I may, I will
Just
start...
a second. So he didn't purchase anything. Are you saying you didn't walk out with your cigarettes?
I purchased a 6-pack of Heineken and a pack of cigarettes, cash.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Miss Gray. I believe him.
Okay. Well,
I believe that he waited online because he wasn't leaving without those cigarettes and he wasn't leaving without the beer. So I believe...
Well, why would anybody,
just
right?
a second. Just a second. Because he's waited online. He's already argued with you. So he may have been disgusted with your store, but he wasn't leaving without his items. So I believe he bought them and he paid for them.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
Now, you want to tell me what problem you had with Miss Corbella?
Well, that night, ma'am, Miss Corbella had walked into the food side of my store and her boyfriend had walked into the liquor side of my store. Holly seen me. She looked directly in my eyes. I didn't say anything out loud to where any customers heard anything, and I pulled my brother aside, who is the manager, and I said, I don't want her in this store. I don't trust her. I've had altercations with her from stealing and hearing...
I thought you said that you didn't have any bad contact with her.
No, I don't.
So what do you mean?
Because my friend has gotten in trouble from her stealing, whatever.
What do you mean your friends got into trouble with her from stealing?
We were never friends, never liked each other. We had this one friend that was friends with me and friends with her.
Yes.
My friend that was also friends with both of us got in trouble with her stealing.
Just a second. So your friend was arrested for stealing, for theft?
Yes.
And according to you, she was with this friend when she got arrested for stealing?
Yes.
Okay. Was she arrested for stealing?
No.
Just your friend was arrested for stealing?
With her, yes.
No. Listen to me.
Yes, she wasn't arrested. No, yes, my friend was
Just
arrested.
your friend was arrested for stealing. Now, he's on his way out the door. Why did you follow him out the door? Look at me.
I followed him out the door because the altercation that happened inside my parents' store, he left mad, and she actually was inside the store when the fighting was going on. So she heard everything and she seen everything. I followed him out of this store because my car was in the parking lot, and I didn't want anything happening to my car, anything in the parking lot, because
Now
they threatened me.
No, listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. There was a line when Mr. Lord was waiting to pay for his cigarettes and his beer, which means there were other customers in the store.
Right.
How many other customers would you say were in the store?
There were only about 3, ma'am.
And is your store a standalone store, or are there other stores in a shopping mall? Or
It's a standalone, ma'am.
how many people were in the store after Mr. Lord left the store?
The same 3, ma'am.
So that there were at least 3 other cars out there. Is
Right.
that right? Listen to me carefully. Plus your car, right?
Plus my car, yes.
And you hadn't seen Miss Corbella since high school, right? And you never met Mr. Lord, right?
Right.
So how do they know which is your car and which is a car
Holly
that
Corbella
belongs?
knows well what my car looks like. I've had the same car since high school, and she's seen my car outside her friend's car and me get into it a couple of times and drive away.
Great.
So
Did she
knows-
just listen to me? Did she ever hurt your car before?
We've never had an altercation.
Just listen to me. Did
No.
she ever hurt your
No,
car
ma'am.
before?
No.
What happened when she followed you outside?
We were still arguing. She told me, you know, I'm going to kick her if she doesn't leave. So I walked up into the car. As I got in the car, no lie, the size of her, I was surprised how strong she came at the car and kicked the car in right where I was. As I closed the door, she came and kicked it. There was no running over her. Then she even went in front of the car as we were leaving. And Holly was all nervous, so she was trying to get around her. The car was already kicked.
You have a picture of the car?
Yes.
I'd like to see
I have
it,
a couple
please.
pictures, actually.
Were you there, sir?
I was outside smoking a cigarette, Your Honor.
I don't remember.
Oh, this is a kick, Miss Gray. This is a kick, my dear.
This is not a kick.
Yeah, this is a kick, Miss Hot Temper.
Okay.
This is a kick. This is not I fell into your car accident. This is a kick. Does this look like I fell into the car accidentally, or does this look like somebody kicked it?
It was a
Fell
running
into it
kick.
several times.
Looks like I fell into it several times. Got a hot temper, madam. You can't do that. You can't
I'm sorry,
vandalize
ma'am.
somebody
if
else's
somebody
car.
comes into my family business, he had nothing to do with what I said to her because he didn't even hear me.
What does that have to do with kicking his car?
He wanted to throw a beer case at me over my family counter is what the first threat was. And then, yes, I did go outside to make sure everything was okay in the parking lot. He did not get directly in the car. He stood in my face threatening me to where the point my brother had to come outside and separate us.
Listen to me. What does that have to do with kicking her car?
I didn't kick her car,
You
ma'am.
did.
I flew backwards. No, I did not.
You don't want to say anything, do you?
I'll say something if you want me to.
Do I want you to? No. Could I have an estimate, please, to fix this car where Miss Hot Temper kicked your car?
And ma'am,
Your
they did
parents
not
leave
keep-
you in charge of that business often?
Actually, I'm not in charge, ma'am.
Well, it's good that at least they have some brains. They don't leave you in charge. But does somebody monitor the two of you in that store?
He doesn't work there, ma'am. He was waiting for me to get off.
They don't trust you to work in the store. They trust her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $940. That's all. Step out.
Jennifer Spurgeon is suing her son, 25-year-old Ozzie, when he was arrested for writing fraudulent checks.
Miss Spurgeon, you are willing to acknowledge here in court that this is your child.
Yes, my son.
According to your complaint, he owes you for bailing him out of jail.
Yes, he does.
He says he never asked you. You bailed him out on your own. What were you in jail for, sir?
I forged some checks in 02.
For forgery.
Yes, ma'am.
And the forgery was in 2002?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you incarcerated?
New Year's Eve 05.
Is that because that's when you were arrested or because you violated your parole or probation?
That's when I got arrested.
For the forgery in 2002?
Yes, ma'am.
It took him 3 years to figure it out?
It took them 3 years to catch me, ma'am. I did because I didn't do anything else wrong.
Is that the only time you've been arrested?
No, ma'am.
Between 2002 and 2005, how many times were you arrested?
0.
Before 2002?
Couple, 2 or 3.
For what?
Me and a couple of my friends stole a racing four-wheeler.
Stole a what?
A four-wheeler, a racing four-wheeler when I was 17.
How old are you now?
25.
Oh, that's a long time ago. What else?
Possession of marijuana.
When was that?
I was 19.
Anything else?
Possession again.
Don't learn your lesson.
No, ma'am.
Now, is that forgery case resolved at this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it resolved after a trial or a plea?
After a plea.
What did you plead guilty to and when?
I pled guilty to forgery. I'm not sure. It was like, the last case was just resolved 2 months ago.
Which last case?
Well, there was 3 counties the checks were in. It was 3 different counties.
Where'd you get the checks from?
A friend of mine.
Whose checks were they?
His checks.
You stole the checks from him or he gave them to you?
He gave them to me.
To do what with?
To get money.
What were you using the money for?
All kinds of different things.
So it took whatever county was 3 years to figure out what was going on. So you were arrested December 31st, 2005.
Yes, ma'am.
What was your bail?
In the beginning, it was $89,000.
Was your friend arrested too?
I don't have any idea.
Why was your bail so high?
Because of the amount of checks that there was.
How much?
I don't remember.
Give me a ballpark figure.
$1,500.
How long did you spend in jail?
46 days.
Was that the first time you had been incarcerated?
For 46 days, yes, ma'am.
More than a day or two?
No. It was the second time.
How long was the previous time you were incarcerated for a substantial period?
A couple days, no.
A couple of days?
Yes, ma'am.
So this was 46 days?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you like it?
No, wasn't fun at all.
How many times did you speak to your mother? Did you call her?
Oh, yeah.
You call her every week?
Every couple days.
What'd you talk about?
Everything. How I was doing, how I was feeling. Was I learning anything? Was I going to do it again? My daughter.
You have a child?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do for a living now, Mr. Stephan?
I run a concrete business.
A what?
Custom concrete business.
Custom concrete?
Yeah.
You work all the time?
Most of the time.
You make a living?
Yes, ma'am.
You filed tax returns last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. How much did you earn?
I don't remember.
Ballpark.
$35,000.
Nice. And you only have one child?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
I live with my father.
Still working the same business that you did last year when you were...
No, ma'am.
Making $35,000?
No, ma'am.
So you left a good business and you went into the custom concrete business?
Yes, ma'am.
So you must make more money?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Love it. Now, it's one of the things you spoke to about your mother, how unhappy you were in prison?
In jail? Yeah, of course.
Did you discuss with her bailing you out?
It came up time to time.
How did it come up?
I would ask her if she would bail me out, and she would tell me no.
And?
And?
But look where you are. You're here. 46 days later, you're here. So how did it come about, sir, that you got bailed out?
I finally made it to the last county that I was going to, and I made a phone call to my mom, and she had said...
Made a phone call to your mom at the last county.
Shh.
We do everything my way here, because it's my playpen. So you finally got to the last county where you had a shipment, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the bail in the other counties had been sort of resolved, so you were waiting to get to the last place because they weren't letting go of you until you got to the last place, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So now you got to the last place and you called your mom and you said...
Hi, Mom, what's up?
And she said...
I mean, basically, that's what I called her and said, hey, how you doing? And she told me to call her back in an hour. She was working on something.
And that's all you said to her. Hi, Mom, what's doing?
How's it going? Yeah.
How's it going?
And she...
All right, good. Now he's at the last county. What day is it, Mrs. Spurgeon?
Around the 7th or 8th of February, 06.
And he calls you from the last county that wants him,
Yes.
right? And what does he say to you and what do you say to him?
He was pretty upset.
What did he say?
Mom, I can't take it anymore. You've got to get me out of here. I've called Grandma. Grandma can't help. She has no money. She's on disability, my father's pension. And
is this your mother?
This is my mom. I told him that I couldn't get him out. I didn't have any kind of money. All I had was my credit cards.
And he said?
I got a friend that's a bondsman. If you'll call him, he'll cut us a deal.
He said?
Ozzy gave me the name of the bondsman to call.
And did you call?
I did call him, yes.
And did you get a deal?
$1,500 is not a deal when, you know, I didn't get to spend any of it. I had to give it away.
Is that what it cost you to get him out?
Yes, all totaling.
What's your mother's last name?
McMullen.
Would you step up, Miss McMullen? How many grandchildren do you have?
17.
Is he one that you like?
He always calls up and says, this is your favorite grandson. That's okay.
Yeah, he's got a gift of gab. Did he call you from jail and ask you to bail him out?
Well, he said he needed help getting out, but...
Did he call you?
Yes, he did, several times.
Several times. And he said, I need help getting out?
He wanted to get out.
What did you say to him?
I can't help you. I'm on a fixed income, so I can't help you.
And what did he say to you?
I know. I guess he was fishing.
How many times did he call you? Trying to see if he could get some
3
money?
or 4 times, yeah.
Remember calling your grandmother?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask her for money?
Oh, yeah.
Remember calling your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask her for money?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Now we got it. Now you can be seated.
Okay,
thank you very much. See, I knew you might lie about your mother, Mr. Stefan, but I knew you wouldn't lie about your grandmother. You made some payments to your mother on this bail. How many payments did you make on the bail?
I gave her a couple $100.
Just answer my question.
I gave her a couple $100.
$200.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what he gave you?
He actually paid it to the bonds company.
How much does he still owe? When you paid off the entire amount?
$1,350.
Okay, so these are my questions, Mr. Stefan. When you forged those checks with your buddy and got some cash, whatever it was, $1,500, did you buy anything for your mother?
No, ma'am.
Did you buy anything for your grandmother?
No, ma'am.
Did you give your mother any money?
No, ma'am.
Did you give your grandmother any money?
No, ma'am.
Did your mother get any enjoyment whatsoever from the proceeds of your forgery?
No.
Did she know or in any way help you forge those checks?
No.
So that when you got busted for check forgery, this was owing solely to your bad behavior, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why should anybody else suffer for your bad behavior?
They shouldn't.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,350. Thank you,
Judge.
22-year-old Brittany Bugby is suing her ex-roommate, 21-year-old Amanda Lauderdale, for rent, damages to the apartment, and for painting her room purple.
Miss Bugby, the defendant, who was a friend of yours, moved into your home when you had a fight with your boyfriend, according to her, and he moved out. You needed someone to help you with the rent.
Yes.
She agreed to pay rent, and it is your claim that she left owing you money for rent, and she or her boyfriend caused some damage to the house. You want her to pay for the damage to the house, and you want her to pay the rent that she owes you.
Yes, that's
Ms.
correct.
Lauderdale says that she paid you rent for each and every month that she was living with you, that she caused no damage to your house, and that I think that there's a room color that you don't like. What's the room color that you painted your room?
Oh, purple.
Purple. And that the landlord doesn't like the purple, you're going to have to repaint that, and you want her to pay for that.
Yes.
How long did you live with her?
From August, and I moved out November 1st.
August what?
I don't remember the exact
August
date.
what?
August 2nd.
And you moved out November 1st?
Yeah, that's not right.
When did she move out?
She moved out November 5th. That's not right. That's when you noticed.
Just a second. How much rent were you supposed to pay?
$650 a month.
Did you pay $650 in August?
Yes.
Is that correct?
No, and I have proof. I have
see the
a
proof.
bank statement here showing the check that Amanda gave to me, which was only $600.
Can I see it?
Yes.
I don't believe I ever gave you a check.
It was from your mother. It's towards the back. It's a check that her mother wrote to me for her rent.
For $600?
For $600. She said she'd give me the $50 later when she got paid, but she never did.
Okay. So that's $50 for August. What about September?
Actually, if you look through there, it'll show every month that I paid my rent for a $1,300 check, but it never shows any deposits of $650.
That's not what I asked you. I said, did she pay?
No,
did you
sorry.
pay September's
Yes.
rent? Show me.
I always paid her in cash. I gave all my cash to Brittany. Never asked for any receipts because at the time she was a very good friend and I didn't think we would end up here.
Where were you working in September?
I was working at Nordstrom.
You work full-time at Nordstrom?
Not anymore.
So what do you do?
Right now I am planning on going to school. Right now I'm not doing anything.
So you don't do anything. When did you stop doing something?
I believe it was early November, probably a week after I moved out of Brittany's house.
Okay. So when she didn't give you any money, according to you, in September, what did you say to her?
She said that she hadn't got paid yet and that she was going through some financial problems. She was
With
my
what?
best friend. She owed money still to some electric companies and some gas companies from living in an apartment previously, and she still owes money to them as far as I still know.
What about October? She give you any money in October?
She tried to give me a check. It was a third-party check from her Nordstrom's. And I deposited it into my account to me, and I asked Amanda if she would cash it and give the money to me, but she never did.
Why did they return it?
In order to do a third-party check, she signed the check over to me, and I put it into an ATM, but I guess you're supposed to take it into the bank and show your IDs. You can't do it through an ATM.
So why didn't you do that?
Amanda said she was just going to go get it cashed.
I wouldn't have given the check back to her.
Well, I couldn't do anything with it.
Sure you could. You go into the bank with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you go into you just said to me that your bank told you you have to take the money, go into the bank. So instead of giving it back to her, if she owed you for 2 months' rent, I would have gone into the bank. I would have made that little extra trip.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I guess I'm right. Now, she gave you rent for October, but you couldn't cash the check. She took the check and didn't give you any cash.
Correct.
And you didn't say anything to her.
I asked her for the money, and she told me that she would be giving me the money for October and November on the 7th when she got paid. And that was the last I heard from her.
Not true. Not true.
Why did you get into difficulty with your prior bills?
Because at the time I was living with a boyfriend and I was the only one working and I could no longer support both of us. So I moved out.
And when you moved out, the utilities were in your name?
Mm-hmm.
So how much do you owe them?
I never received any of the bills after I moved out. I have no idea how much I owe.
All you have to do is make a phone call.
You're right.
I know. I believe her when she says that you didn't pay her rent. I believe her.
Okay.
Now, why did you decide to leave?
Because she had told me that she was using cocaine and that's why she had a miscarriage. And I just felt like her lifestyle was making me feel very uncomfortable. She was bringing home strange guys in the house all of the time, crying to me about all this stuff, and I couldn't take it anymore. I talked to my mom about it, and my mom said that it'd be a better choice for me to live with my mom instead of Brittany.
That's not true. I don't do drugs whatsoever. I don't bring strange men home, and that's so false. I don't know how else to put that.
Who are you?
I'm Wilson, her boyfriend, Amanda's.
Current boyfriend, not the one that she moved out on?
Current, yes.
Are you the one who broke the door?
No. I was there for the party when the door got broken. It was a Halloween
Oh, well,
party.
I want to hear about that. Stand up. How'd you hurt your foot?
Slipped off some stairs.
Where were you?
At a friend's house.
Party?
No. Just hanging out at his house. Had a couple stairs in the front of his walkway and just slipped down one of them. Twisted the ankle real bad.
You can take the crutch with you if you like.
No, I can stand on it.
Great. You get no sympathy from me for doing that. You understand?
Don't ask for it.
Okay, tell me about this party when the door got broken.
Halloween party, obviously. I was at work until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Got there about 1 o'clock, and it was kind of out of control. There was a dancing area, and by the door that got broken, someone opened up the door really fast. It had little glass sections in the door. Somebody swung it open and smacked the window broke. Brittany was trashed out of her mind. She had no idea what was going on. And that's what happened.
Now I'll hear your story.
All right. We were having a Halloween party, and a bunch of our friends were there, both of our friends. And shortly after Wilson showed up, one of his friends slammed the door open, and I was upset, and I said, Amanda, Wilson, make sure you get his phone number. And Wilson and Amanda both said, don't worry about it. It's Wilson's friend. We'll take care of it. They never did, and so now I'm suing for the amount.
Not suing them.
Well, Amanda said that she would make sure that it was taken care of.
Well, listen, you can't rely on that. Amanda hadn't paid you rent in 2 months, according to you. How could you rely on her saying, I'll take care of it?
It's true, yeah.
I don't believe you. Let's talk about the purple bedroom. Did you let us paint the bedroom purple?
Yes, I did.
Well, then you deal with it.
It's very dark. It's going to take 2 base coats to cover.
And I would start,
she did
Miss
a horrible
Bugby,
job.
I'd start. Okay, Miss Lauderdale, you owe her $1,300 in rent and another $50 from the first month. And the next time, if you pay somebody rent, you pay them by check and get a receipt. Just like you did the first month that you were living there, paid by check. Do you understand? Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,350. That's all.
Her former friend, 36-year-old Carolyn Eclavia, made a false police report that put her in jail for 72 hours.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. All rise.
Judges number 207 in the matter of Thomas versus Eclavia. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Thank you, Berg.
Very welcome, Judge.
Ms. Thomas, the basis of your complaint is that the defendant had you falsely arrested, according to you, for assault, which caused you to be embarrassed, humiliated, stressed, strained, etc., etc. Is that right?
Yes.
And your story is a rather interesting one, and I think that probably it needs an airing because it led up to this arrest.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
How do you know her?
When I lived in Washington State about 7 years ago, I knew her just from the neighborhood we lived in. We were friends. We've been friends. Then I ran into her again down here about a year and a half ago. So we've been friends and stayed in contact here and there when we didn't lose touch with each other for almost 7 years now.
Now, you were both living on a Navy base?
Navy military housing.
Military, both of you?
Yes, different complexes.
I understand. And according to the papers that I've seen, there was a transaction with a car that started all this trouble.
Right.
Well, tell me about that.
Okay. I sold her the car for $100 and I let her make payments on it because they had no money, no vehicle or anything. Then I went on vacation. I signed the title and gave her the keys on the agreement that she would get it out of my name on her husband's next payday because I was leaving on vacation. And then
what kind of car was this?
Dodge 400. I had bought a new car and
How old was the car?
I think at 84 or something like that.
So it was a real old car?
Yeah.
She sold you the car?
No, she sold it to my husband. I don't even drive. I've never driven.
She sold it to you or your husband, but there was an understanding that you would get it out of her name so she wouldn't be liable for it anymore.
Yes.
Did you do that?
The agreement was she would wait until we had the money, which would be the next paycheck.
But then
the
you
way
didn't.
the Navy was.
But you didn't do it the next paycheck.
We didn't have the money at that time.
I don't
until
care
she
whether
got
you didn't have
back.
the money. That's not her problem that you didn't have the money. Let me just understand this. And you didn't fulfill your agreement with her next paycheck to get the car out of her name. That's what this whole argument was about. Is that correct?
That's what started it, yes.
So then what happened?
Then she tells me on the day I got home that she had sold the car and it's out of my name. So I called the DMV and it was still in my name. In fact, it's in my name to this day.
Did you tell her that you sold the car?
Yes, I did sell the car. My husband and I had separated, and I didn't have any finances, so I did sell the car.
Now tell me about this assault. How did this all take place?
It was basically because her husband was driving a car around in my name uninsured. Then she sold it to somebody I don't even know who's driving it around
Terrible.
in my name uninsured.
She's very irresponsible.
Then I talked to her on the phone and she said, come over and get your cat. She had my cat while I was on vacation. I went over there. We got into a verbal argument. All I did was throw
Over the car?
Over the car, yes, and her not getting it out of my name. All I did was throw the litter box on the ground, and the next thing I know, the police are at my house telling me that I assaulted her and I threatened her life if she didn't sign a bill of sale. And I just kept insisting I didn't do this, and they kept telling me, this is what you did. And they arrested me.
Do you have a copy of the complaint?
The police report?
Yes.
No, I tried to get it, but it had been over 60 days, so they wouldn't give it to me without a court order.
This is untrue, what she says.
Just a minute. Did you call the police?
Yes, I did, and the
Why?
reason why I called the police is when she came to pick up her mail and her cat, when I turned around to get the mail, she threw the cat on me to where it clawed my back, and its claw stuck in my back. Then I went and I tried to get outside to where somebody could see what she was doing. I did not have a phone in my home. My neighbors heard and saw her yell at me and say that she was going to come back and kill me.
You called the police?
Yes, I did call the police.
All
She
right.
assaulted me in my own home.
Well, just a minute. Did you throw your cat on her?
No, my cat was pregnant. I would not harm my cat in any way. I never touched her. I will take a lie detector. I will do anything. I never touched her. I never assaulted. I never threatened her life. I never did any of that. The only
Well,
thing
you might
her
have
neighbors
threatened her.
saw.
You might have said a lot of loud things because you were angry.
Exactly. But the only thing the neighbor saw was me throw the kitty litter box on the ground, which was empty, and say, I'll be back later for the car because she told me to come back for the car. The guy who bought it doesn't want to deal with this.
Do you have any photographs of how the cat injured you?
I had them at home, but I never got them developed because I dropped charges on her.
Just a second.
I did not
You
want
have
to press charges.
Hold on a second. Well, even if you didn't want to press charges then in the criminal proceeding, you're here today, so you knew you were coming to court today. Why didn't you get the pictures developed?
Because I did not even want to have it brought this far.
But
She
you know
has
you were
3
coming here,
children,
madam.
and I did not want it brought this far.
Well,
She did not drop the charges. They dropped the charges because she never
No, that is
responded
untrue.
to any of it.
That
The
is
DA
untrue.
dropped the charges.
No,
she
it is
never
not.
responded to them.
How
I had
long
to
were
go
you in
to
jail?
a mediator. 72 hours.
No, that is untrue.
And my
Whenever-
bill was $15,000. I was in there with hookers and prostitutes that could have got out for $150. Mine would have been $1,500.
Miss Thomas, had you ever been arrested before?
No, I was taken to the police station one time for police disturbance when I was like 18 or 19.
You also say in your complaint that the defendant wrote letters to your husband
Yes.
while he was away at
Letter.
sea.
I have it right here.
I'd like to see those letters, please.
you want to see the one to my housing manager?
Yes, I want to see
This
all
is the one to my housing manager. It's signed concerned citizen, but you can tell the handwriting matches it perfectly.
Can I see them?
Every sick thing you can imagine she wrote about me.
Excuse me. If she is so nice and innocent, then why do my children fear her? The same day that she assaulted me, my son is coming home from school. She pulls up to him as he's crossing the street from the school, and she tells him that if you don't get out of the street, she's gonna run him over. An 11-year-old boy.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You are full of baloney, because if you had injuries in pictures, you would have brought them.
And later today,
I think at the time he had something for me or an infatuation for me, and he thought he could get on the good side of me by posting the $5,000 bill.
Well, that was nice.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Georgina Thomas says her former friend, Carolyn Niclavia, had her falsely arrested after an argument over a car.
Right now, all I have is her complaint. Put it down. I'm speaking. I have a complaint. In her complaint, she mentioned several things. You want to sue her? If you think you have a cause of action,
No, I didn't.
file a complaint. I'm asking you, did you write to her husband, Ron?
Her husband had asked me time
the answer
and time
is
again.
yes
I
or
did
no.
write him.
Good.
Yes,
and this
he
is
wanted to know if
hey,
she was having an affair.
Hey, you pay attention to me. You wrote her husband. Did you write to her husband before or after this incident involving the police?
Afterwards.
How long had you known her husband?
I've known him before I met her.
So you felt compelled to say that his wife was cheating on
Yes,
him
he
as
had
a
asked me
boyfriend?
time and time again whether she was having an affair. And
When
yes,
did
I
he-
did write, and I did tell her, because the boyfriend was coming to the house where I babysit, where I live, harassing my sons.
It's not true.
Yes, it is true.
Just a second. All of this didn't seem to bother you when you bought her car.
Because
You
I
bought
did
just
not
a
buy
second.
it. I don't even drive.
Listen to me. All these things, the boyfriend, who was, according to you, when you wrote this letter to the landlord, a convicted felon. She sells pounds of weed and cocaine out of her house. All of these things didn't bother you when she sold you the car a few weeks before this incident occurred. How come all these things just bothered you after the car incident?
Because the harassment didn't start until after she had the problem with my husband. To me, it was
Just a
her
minute, what-
business.
just a
I have
second,
no
what-
right to judge her.
So,
but when
what-
she started harassing me, harassing my children, and assaulting me, then yes, I believe.
Then
yes.
all of a sudden, just a minute, then all of a sudden you decided that her husband had to know, the landlord had to know about all these charges after that. But before it was okay.
I did call the DA
Just a
that
second.
had pressed charges
Hey,
time and time again.
just a second.
And no one would come because I could not afford the restraining order against her.
You don't have to afford a restraining order, madam. All you have to do is go to court. And if you have a case, you can get a restraining order. Don't give me a lot of baloney. Instead of using the court system, what you did was you wrote letters designed to make trouble for her.
Okay.
That's what you did. And calling the police, because I don't believe she threw her cat at you.
Oh, that is
Oh,
wrong.
no, I don't believe it. Because I believe, madam, if she threw her cat at you, you are organized enough, based upon these letters, to have developed the photographs, which you say you have at home.
I do
When you
have
knew
them.
you
I
were
don't
coming to
care.
court today to show me the injuries, you are organized enough to do that. So I don't believe that there were any injuries. I believe that you did
Then
probably...
why would the district attorney look at him on my arms, on my back, and decide
Do
that
you-
he would press charges at her? If there was
Mrs.
nothing
Clava-
wrong, why would he take her to jail?
You are full of baloney, because if you had injuries in pictures, you would have brought them. Now, the only issue is, what kind of damages am I going to assess against you? Because I believe that you are a nasty, vindictive person.
Can I explain a
That's
little
what
more?
I believe. You are a nasty, vindictive person. And I believe that she's entitled to be compensated. Now, the truth is, you threw down this item at her.
I'm kidding.
Okay?
Not at her on the ground.
Whatever, Miss Thomas. You were angry. Very angry. And you probably did say something like you're going to be back because you probably got into a major altercation with her. I don't believe that she had the right, really, at that point, because she was not, in fact, injured by you, to call the police. But I believe that there is more of a vindictiveness involved here than anything else. As a result of that letter that she wrote to your husband, did anything happen?
We're now getting divorced, yes.
Well, it wasn't just because of this letter, is that right?
No, we were having small problems at first, but nothing like this.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you whether you had a boyfriend or not. It's really none of my business. The letter was written maliciously, and the letter to the landlord was also written maliciously. That is Army Housing. I'm awarding you $2,500, and that's against you. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused.
Thank you.
You may step out. At the back door to your right, please.
I've taken her food. They had no food, anything. I was a good friend to her. I took her to buy the dress she has on now because she doesn't drive. I did everything for her. The only thing I have to say is, from now on, if your big sister warns you about somebody, you should listen to it. She's just jealous. She's very jealous because I get all the attention and she gets none.
And now the next case.
Bodies on Crawford versus Sullivan. Step forward, please.
30-year-old personnel director John Crawford says he bailed his friend Shannon Sullivan out of jail and he won't pay him back. Shannon claims he never asked John for his help.
You were arrested for assault. He posted bail.
That's correct.
You won't pay him the money for the bail that he posted for you.
That's correct.
Well, let us start with you, sir.
Okay.
Because I found your response, quite frankly, slightly ungrateful. Now, when were you arrested?
On the 24th of November.
What were you arrested for?
Assault.
Don't look down there. You probably don't need it, because
Actually,
I'm sure you
okay.
can tell me
It
exactly.
was the 28th of November.
And you were arrested for assaulting whom?
Somebody at a nightclub.
Were you drunk?
Nope.
So that wasn't an excuse.
No.
You just didn't like them.
No, that wasn't fact either. I was pulling out of the driveway at the nightclub, and this particular individual walked up to my car and kicked it, a brand new car. Myself and another friend got out of the vehicle and walked up to him, and he started a confrontation. I went back to get in the vehicle, and he came in the vehicle after me. He was on top of me inside the vehicle. The police were sitting out front, and they all swarmed in, and they seen it happen.
Well, that sounds like he assaulted you, so why do you think you were arrested?
Because of the injuries on him.
Which were, I assume, substantial?
Yes.
Were you convicted of that assault,
No, I
ultimately?
wasn't.
Did you go to
case
trial?
was dismissed.
Now, when you were arrested, you were taken to jail,
Yes.
and bail was fixed?
Actually, I was going in for my OR hearing,
What's an OR hearing?
release on my own recognizance.
But you spent the night in jail.
No, I didn't.
You spent any time in jail?
Yes,
Is the reason that you were released from jail because this gentleman posted bail?
that's correct.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Forget the bail. Why didn't you say that?
Well, I didn't think about it at the time in the bill.
Well, you should have thought about it at the time, Mr. Sullivan.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 30-year-old personnel director John Crawford says he bailed his friend Shannon Sullivan out of jail and he won't pay him back. Shannon claims he never asked John for his help.
How long did you know him before you posted this bail?
Not very long, just a couple of weeks.
And would you tell me how it came about that you posted the bail for him?
I happened to be walking out of the nightclub right as this incident started, and I witnessed it. And I saw the police take him away. I received a phone call at early hours in the morning from the friend that was with him, and he said, Shannon is in jail. He wanted me to call you, tell you that he's in jail. This friend said that he told Shannon he could not get him out of jail, and wanted to know if I could do anything to help get him out. He said that Shannon would try to get a hold of me later, which he did. He was able to call me from a desk sergeant's phone.
So he called you from a desk sergeant's phone, and what did he say when he called?
He gave me all the specific information, the case number, told me what he was booked on, told me how much the bail was. I immediately called a bail bondsman. I didn't even think twice about calling a bail bondsman, even though we weren't really good friends. I just felt sorry for him. I didn't want anyone to have to spend Thanksgiving Day in jail when he was planning on going to see his family in Arizona the next day. So I placed bail for him. And
how much did that cost you?
Well, bail was $5,000. They charged 20% of that for fees, and then there's filing fees, so it was $760.
And did you have a discussion with him about paying you back?
He wrote me a thank you note, said, I can't believe you did that for me. Don't worry, I won't let you down. I felt sorry for him because he said that he needed money, and I actually knew of some work that was opening up where I work, and so I gave his name to some people at work. He was hired at work, worked there just a short time, and after he stopped working where I work, he stopped returning all phone calls. I tried calling several times.
All right, Mr. Crawford. Now, Mr. Sullivan, $760 is what this gentleman spent on your behalf. Now, you want to try to explain to me why you don't think you owe him this money.
First of all, I knew I was going to an OR hearing and I was going to be released, okay? When I went up to the judge for my OR hearing, she said that you were just released on a $5,000 bond. I did not know who did. I didn't contact anybody. I never contacted my family or anything. Nobody even knew about it except for Paul, which was my friend. I never requested John to bail me out whatsoever. John did it on his own. That was his own thing. He did it.
Yeah, I'd spend that much money just to be nice.
Okay.
So why didn't you just tell the judge,
first,
I'm not accepting this bail, and I'm prepared to hear whatever you have to say, and I'll plead my own case to be released on my own recognizance without any consideration of this bail, so forget the bail. Why didn't you say that?
Well, I didn't think about it at the time in the bail.
Well, you should have thought about it at the time, Mr. Sullivan. You were more than happy at the moment to say, thank you very much. Where's my hat?
Bye-bye.
He wasn't arrested. You were arrested. Sounds to me
Right.
like he was a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy for doing that. But I think there's
assume
more
you
to it than just being a nice guy also. I
Like
think
what?
at the time he had something for me or an infatuation for me, and he thought he could get on the good side of me by posting the $5,000 bail.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah, it was too nice, actually.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You had an option, sir. Your option was to say to the judge, who posted the bail for me? Question. Answer, Mr. Crawford. Mr. Crawford.
I did ask that.
You did ask.
They did not have that at the time because the bondsman had not delivered everything over to
Well,
the court
if the
yet.
bondsman hadn't delivered everything over, Mr. Sullivan, they wouldn't have released
That's
you.
what I was told.
They
I didn't
wouldn't
get out
have
till 2
released
hours
you if
later.
the bondsman had not delivered all the paperwork. I've been around long enough to know that.
Okay. I'm just telling you.
All
what I
right, this is
know.
not a very difficult case. You owe him $760.
Okay.
Period. End of discussion. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Like I said in there, I just didn't want anyone to have to spend Thanksgiving in prison. I felt sorry for him, and I trusted him, and I thought I'd get my money back immediately, and it's taken 9 months to do it.
I don't felt I owed it to him. I didn't request for him to do it. He did it on his own will, and there's reasons why he did it.
Jeep in a raffle, but Tina refuses to share it. Tina claims it was her ticket that won the Jeep, making her the sole winner.
Order. All rise.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. Yeah, this is case number 301 on the calendar in the matter of Peraza versus Barraza. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am. Ma'am.
You two gals are real good friends. You went to some sort of an event, which you're going to tell me about. One of the things that happened at that event was that there was a door prize of a brand new Jeep automobile. Right?
Correct. Yes.
She won, you think that you should get half. Right?
No. Not exactly.
Well,
I think we both won.
You think you both won, and she claimed the prize.
Yeah, she ended up going behind my back and claiming the prize.
All right, let's start from the beginning. What kind of an event was this?
It was just an event from a radio station and Taco Bell. It was just a concert.
Slowly.
It was just a concert. It was just a a concert where these rappers are going to be there or something like that.
You, according to your complaint, got the concert tickets and asked her if she wanted to go.
No. She got the concert tickets.
She got the tickets.
Yeah, and she asked me if I wanted to go.
Okay.
And I agreed, and we went, and at the door, they asked us if we wanted to gamble, and we said yes, and they gave us $500 fake dollars each.
Did you have to pay for that?
No. No, they just asked us at the front, if you wanted to gamble, you got $500. If you didn't, well, you didn't gamble.
So it was like Monopoly money.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
And after that, she asked me, I mean, I was there with her the whole time, but then she asked me if she could gamble my money, and I said, sure, go ahead, you know. And she's like...
You weren't gambling?
No, I was just standing right there, just helping her out. That was about it. She gambled, she got all my money, she gambled it away, and we ended up getting chips for, just chips, regular chips of what you gamble with, in return when you were gambling. So we had to trade those in for tickets. And after that, some guys just came up to us and told us that, oh, they were leaving, they were in a rush, so they came over and they gave us their tickets. They said, here, girls, good luck, and if you guys win, give us a call.
So now you had these whole bunch of tickets, and you threw them in a pot.
We just, yeah.
Who held on to the stubs?
I did.
You did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was, she had it in my backpack, so she put it in the backpack. We had a backpack, it was only one, so she put them in there.
And you had a whole bunch of them. How many did you have?
There was probably 50 or probably more. I wouldn't know. We didn't count them. And we just threw them inside the backpack, and it was time for them to call out the tickets. The time came, so we went down there, and they started calling out tickets. We won other prizes. Prior to that, we won something else, and it was time to call out.
What else did you win?
We won a jacket and a backpack. And
what'd you do with that?
One of us kept the backpack, and the other one kept the jacket.
Is that right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I guess the time came to win the thing, and we just got the tickets, and she's like, here, you take half, because there was so many of them. We just split them up. She said, you take half, I'll take the other half. And
to look at the numbers as they were calling the numbers.
Yeah. So then after that, they called the number. That was about it. They called.
And you had the ticket. You were holding that ticket.
Yeah, she was holding the ticket.
Okay. Now let me ask you this question. I'll ask you this question. There came a time when you did split up these tickets, right? She held half, and you held half. Tell me about that moment.
As I recall, we just split them up.
Not we split them up. They're in your hands.
Okay, I split them up evenly.
Split them up evenly?
Yes, I just gave her half, and, you know, we both looked at them.
Okay. Am I correct that your reason that was done was because it's too difficult to look at all the numbers as they're calling out the numbers, like in a bingo or something, you know, so that each one of you was looking through half?
Correct.
Right? And your ticket won?
Yeah, they were my tickets. They were all my tickets.
Now, why do you think they were all your tickets?
Because she had given me her $500. I did not ask her if I can play with her $500. She gave them to me. She gave the $500 to me.
How did that come about?
She said, here, take my money. You can gamble with it.
Is that what you said?
No.
No, that's not what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
No, we were gambling. She ended up, she was like down to her last $50, and she just said, can I, oh, let me have your money. And she said, if we would win the Jeep, we would split it up.
I had said that from the guys' tickets. I had the guys' tickets in one hand, and I had my tickets in the other hand. The ones that I had won.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't. All the tickets were together in your backpack at one point. Oh, I think that they probably were. All the tickets were together in your backpack.
At one point, I had put them all together, yes.
Right. So at that point, they were all mixed together.
Yes.
Yours and the guys.
Yes.
Right. So there really is no way of knowing whether it was your ticket that won or the guy's ticket that won.
Exactly.
Well, now at least we got that straight. So it's not in one hand and then the other hand.
But I had told her, out of their tickets that they gave us, actually they gave me the tickets. And I told her, out of those tickets, if we win it, we'll split it, because we were friends.
You couldn't tell whether it was their ticket that won.
No, we could not.
You just assumed it was comfortable for you to say it wasn't one of their tickets that won, it was my ticket that won.
I did not say that.
You had no way of knowing whether it was your ticket that won or one of the guys' tickets that won. Right?
Exactly.
Mike, Teelan? Hello?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You speak to this pain in the neck And a 12-year friendship is down the drain over a Jeep.
And later today,
He had stolen my daughter's clothes before. I also have sex letters where he signed up for sex calls. And I have pictures to prove what kind of person he is.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Myra Barraza is suing her former best friend Tina Barraza after they won a new Jeep in a raffle.
I see that you have a tape there. Can you tell me what that tape is of?
This is just the day of the event. Recorded us where we both claimed the prize. We both did go up there and claim the prize. And
For the
said,
Jeep?
Yes.
I want to see it.
Here we go. 607 487.
Well, that certainly looks as if, at least at that moment, there was a mutuality that each of you won that prize. So what happened?
I was willing to split with her.
So?
And that's what we were going to do until about a month later. She had called me up and she had said that she wanted to give it to me. She said, go ahead and have it, in other words.
Where was it?
I hadn't got it yet.
Did you do that?
No, I called her up. There was all this stuff was going on with the Jeep. We didn't know what we were going to do. It was a big old thing about it. We didn't know how we were going to split it up, who was going to pay for tax and license and everything. And we were going to get the confirmation letter. And I called her up and I told her, yes, you could stay with the Jeep. But she had said if she stood with the Jeep, she was going to give me an $8,000 loan. That's how much the car was worth, $16,000.
I did not state that.
And I told her, okay. She said she was going to tell her dad, sell her other car that she had just bought, sell it back, and instead of paying $15,000, she'll just tell her dad to get an $8,000 loan and pay me for it. And I said, okay. We agreed. I never thought anything. I just said, okay. We didn't. It was just a verbal thing. But I did tell her, okay, you could keep the Jeep and
that sounds reasonable because you can't split up the Jeep.
Yeah, and I just said, okay. And I said, you could pay my $8,000 or else we're just going to sell the Jeep and we're both going to get our half.
She did not say that on the phone. She told me that she wanted me to keep the Jeep. That's what she told me.
What? Of course, that's what she said to you.
Yeah, but she did not specify that she wanted me to give her $8,000.
Well, why would she make you a gift of $8,000? If the Jeep is worth $16,000, why in the world do you think, madam, that she would make you a gift of $8,000, which is half of the Jeep? Why?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, let's go slowly. What word didn't you understand? Why do you think that she would make you a present of $8,000?
She did not say anything about $8,000. I did not hear anything about $8,000 on that telephone call. At that time, I was like happy. I was happy that she given it to me. And I figured that
what are you doing standing up here?
I want to step in for the spot where she told me through everything that happened. She called me every time they had a conversation. She was asking me, what should I do? What should I do? What do I do about the Jeep? Do I split it in half? Should I sell it? What? I told her, you know what? You won the tickets to that concert. It's your Jeep. You were holding the ticket at the time she won it.
Oh, you're the troublemaker. Sit down. Sit down.
As I was saying, I figured the reason why she said that on the telephone is because she knew that she did not have any part in the ticket winning.
Oh, please, madam. I want to tell you something. I think that your conduct was really outrageous to bring it to this point. First of all, the two of you have been friends. There isn't a question in my mind. What?
9 years.
12 years.
There isn't a question in my mind, after looking at that tape, that at the time that Jeep was won, the two of you, both of you, I saw her signing papers.
We didn't sign any
Just a
paper.
second.
It was just a back of a flyer. We put down both our names and addresses.
Right. It was the back of a flyer. You both put down your names and addresses as the winners. Right?
Yes.
That's what it looked like to me on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometime you speak to this pain in the neck who says to you, I don't think you have to split it with her at all because it was your ticket, it was in your hand. And a 12-year friendship is down the drain over a Jeep because there is no logical reason that I can think of except if you're drinking too much to think that this lady would call you up and say, I just want to give it to you because you're a very nice person. I care about you.
No.
Please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
That's called the Soddy principle, S-O-D-D-I. Some other dude did it.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Myra Peraza and her former best friend, Tina Peraza, won a new Jeep in a raffle. But Myra says Tina is refusing to share.
Listen to me. Bottom line is, the maximum jurisdiction in this court is $5,000.
I know.
You understand that?
Yeah, I know.
Right? Now, she claimed this prize. I assume you went and claimed the prize.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Correct. She told me to do what's right, and that's what I thought was right.
Yeah, she just went off this one day. I spoken to her the weekend before she did this. I spoken to her the whole week when she went off to the radio station and had a cashier's check with her parents. And she did this on Friday. I spoke to her Friday and Saturday. She told me nothing. I told her what's going on. She said nothing. I haven't spoken to them. I haven't heard of anything.
Miss Peraza, your friendship's over.
I know that.
And based upon what I've heard, that's probably the right thing to happen.
Yeah, I know.
Because she's not a very trustworthy person. Now, she claimed the Jeep. She's going to have to pay the taxes on it. But I'm awarding you $5,000, which is the maximum that I can. My grandmother used to say, if you do the right thing happens. If you do the wrong thing, eventually it's going to catch up with you. What you did was pretty sneaky. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Okay, you got your Jeep. Better money.
Back door to your right, please.
Just to reiterate what Judge Judy said, bad things, it all comes back to people or whatever. It's going to come back to her because I did what I thought was right, and in God I trust that I did what's right, and I think it's going to come back to her what she did because she was wrong, not me. She's lucky for even being there. She's lucky for even being at the event. I don't see that she deserves half. I won the tickets to go to the event, and she was even lucky that I took her.
You got your $5,000
Yeah,
you wanted.
I did.
So now you can shut up.
Yeah, you too.
You have nothing to do with this.
And now the next case.
Parties on Anderson versus Rankin. Step forward, please.
Margaret Anderson is suing her tenant, Tim Rankin, claiming he made phone calls to 900 numbers totaling more than $1,000.
All right, Mr. Rankin. You rented a room from the plaintiff.
That's correct.
And I believe that you will agree, based upon what doesn't seem to be in dispute, that when you moved in, you wanted a telephone in your room.
That's correct, Your Honor.
But because of prior problems, you couldn't get the phone in your name.
She offered to put the phone.
Because of prior problems, you couldn't get the phone in your name.
I owed a past due bill on the Pacific bill.
So the answer to my question is yes. You couldn't get the phone in your name.
Correct.
I knew we'd get there, Bird.
Take your time, bitch.
So she said, okay.
Yes.
Right? Are you nervous?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes.
I could tell you were nervous. She said, okay, you put the phone in your room, and within a relatively short period of time, you got a bill.
Yep.
And how much was that bill for?
$1,059.
For a 1 month period?
2 months period.
2 months. And you say I didn't do it.
I didn't do it, Your Honor.
Is the phone in your room?
Yes, it is.
You think she did it?
I doubt
Look at this lady. Look, I just want you to look at her. You think she went into your room and made the call?
I doubt it.
Somebody's got to pay the bill.
That's right.
Now, you want to try to explain to me in 100 words or less why it shouldn't be you?
In 100 words or less, I don't know if I can do it in 100 words or less, but I believe that the other tenant that was living there made those phone calls.
So?
And there's a reason behind why I think he made those phone calls.
I'll hear you.
Okay, well, the former tenant and her had a limousine business. She put up $27,000 for a limousine. Somehow I was drawn into the middle of that. Their business relationship didn't work out from the get-go. They were screaming and yelling every night there. And because I didn't take his side in the limousine business, he started to have an attitude against me. Eventually, I had to throw him in jail for assault on me at the lady's house. The following day, her and I went down and put restraining orders on him. At that point, I believe he went in my room. He wanted me out of that house no matter what. No matter what the cost, so he could work on her by himself. I believe that he went into my room and made a bunch of phone calls, information phone calls. I'm not sure what exactly they were. Psychic, maybe. I don't know what kind of phone calls they were.
Psychic hotline calls? Is that what they were?
900. Sex calls.
Sex calls.
Sex calls. Okay.
Okay. So that's your defense. You know, we used to call that, when I was sitting judge in Manhattan, somebody once told me that that's called the Soddy principle, S-O-D-D-I. Some other dude
done it.
did it. Did you ever hear that?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Rankin, let's keep this simple, sir. Somebody's got to pay this bill. The phone is in your room. If the phone had been in your room and been in your name, you would have had to have paid the phone bill. And then if you felt that somebody in an unauthorized fashion used your phone, you would go and sue them. Right?
That's correct.
But you don't say to the telephone company, listen, ma belle, I didn't make the phone calls from my phone. Somebody else did it. You pay the bill, and then you pursue whatever other remedies you have. You are responsible to safeguard the phone in your room. Not her. She was doing you a favor. Why should she be out $1,059? Is there any reason?
No, there's not a reason
Good.
she should be out.
Judgment in the case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,059.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Everybody's not like Tim. There is nice people out there. I went ballistic. Yeah, I was very, very surprised, shocked, mad, angry, really, really upset.
He had stolen my daughter's clothes before. I also have sex letters where he signed up for sex calls. And I have pictures to prove what kind of person he is.
I was used and abused.
ये यहाँ पे रहेगा। गुस्सा आ गया।
ये भी प्लग किया हुआ है। अब इसमें कुछ भी जो है ना ये ऑफ है। लाइट्स इसमें जो है ना वो नहीं शो हो रही बिल्कुल भी। सिर्फ ये 3 लाइट्स ऑन है कसर की, ठीक है। ये देखें, ये सिर्फ ये ऑन है। बाकी IQ मैंने ऑन किया हुआ है तो इसमें कोई डिटेक्शन वगैरह नहीं दे रहा, कुछ भी ऑप्शन नहीं आ रहा इसमें। ये मैंने ऑफ किया है, ये ऑन किया है। ये अब साथ ये डिटेक्ट हुआ है, ये लाइट ऑन हो गई है इसकी, ये देखिए ये ऑन हुई है। लेकिन कीज़ की लाइट्स नहीं ऑन हो रही, सिर्फ ये दे रहा है 3 लाइट्स ऑन है ये, ठीक है। बाकी ये इसमें डिटेक्ट दे रहा है। साथ ही 5 सेकंड 10 सेकंड यूज़ करूँगा इसको, ये ऑफ़ हो गया, साथ ही ऑफ़ हो गया। देखिए अभी ये शो कर रहा है, अभी ये लाइट ऑन हो गई है इसकी। ये ऊपर ना मेन लाइट ऑन हो रही है इसकी, ना ये नीचे की पूरे कीबोर्ड की लाइट्स ऑफ हैं, सिर्फ ये 3 लाइट्स जल रही हैं ये एरो की, ठीक है। और ये देखें, ये इसमें कुछ मैं यूज़ करता हूँ मैं इसको, ये साइन लाइटिंग इफ़ेक्ट्स, या तो इसकी सेटिंग करनी है या शॉर्ट है, क्या चक्कर है मुझे आइडिया नहीं हो रहा इसका। फाइनली अगर आप कुछ कर सकते हैं तो मुझे बताएं, अगर लाना पड़ेगा उधर तो ले आता हूँ।